Red Bull Racing was once an outsider in the Formula One world. But over time it became one of the most dominant teams in the sport's history. In this calm and reflective journey, we'll explore the full arc of Red Bull's legacy, from their earliest breakthroughs with Sebastian Vettel to the commanding reign of Max Verstappen. Welcome to Sleepy Sports, where you fall asleep to the greatest moments in sports history. In the early years of the new millennium, a transformation was brewing in the world of Formula One, particularly under the banner of Red Bull Racing. It all began with the acquisition of the Jaguar Racing team, which had its own share of highs and lows. In 2004, after a disappointing run of seasons, the Ford Motor Company made the decision to sell Jaguar Racing, and that's where Red Bull, a company known for its energy drinks and adventurous spirit, stepped in. The transition from Jaguar to Red Bull Racing was not just a change of name, it was a complete rebranding, a fresh start that would reshape the team's identity in the fiercely competitive arena of Formula One. As the dust settled on the acquisition, Red Bull Racing was officially announced in 2005. The new team was not just about the racing, it was about creating a brand that resonated with fans all over the world. The charismatic logo of the charging bull became a symbol of strength, energy, and determination. With the tagline "Gives you wings," Red Bull was not just selling a drink, they were inviting fans to experience the thrill of racing, the adrenaline of speed, and the excitement of competition. This bold new identity was a key part of their strategy to gain traction in a sport that was dominated by established teams with rich histories. One of the first significant moves that Red Bull Racing made was the appointment of Christian Horner as team principal. Christian, a young and ambitious figure in the world of motorsport, had previously been involved with the British Formula 3 Championship. His understanding of the sport, coupled with a vision for what Red Bull Racing could become, made him an ideal candidate to lead the team into this new era. He took the helm in 2005, bringing a fresh perspective and a sense of youthful enthusiasm that would be crucial in the years to come. Under his leadership, Red Bull Racing began to establish a culture that celebrated innovation, teamwork, and ambition. The 2005 season was a year of learning and adaptation. The team faced numerous challenges as they worked to build their identity on the track. They retained some of the key personnel from Jaguar Racing, including the engineering team, which helped maintain a continuity of knowledge and experience. The car, the RB1, was a product of these early efforts, though it wasn't without its teething problems. The design was ambitious, but the results were modest. Finishing 7th in the Constructors' Championship was not the dream start they had hoped for, but it laid the groundwork for what was to come. As the 2006 season rolled around, Red Bull Racing continued to evolve. The team made some important changes, including the introduction of a new car, the RB2. This model was a significant step forward, showcasing the team's commitment to improvement and performance. With a stronger chassis and refined aerodynamics, the RB2 was designed to be more competitive on the track. The team also brought in talented drivers, including the experienced David Coulthard, who provided valuable insights and consistency, and young talent like Christian Klein, who was eager to make his mark. The competitive landscape in Formula One during this period was fierce. Rivals like Ferrari, with their storied history and championship pedigree, and McLaren, known for their technical prowess, loomed large. However, there was also a sense of excitement about the new teams emerging, and Red Bull Racing was determined to carve out their niche. With each race, they learned more about the nuances of the sport, and Christian Horner's leadership began to shine through as he fostered a team spirit that encouraged collaboration and innovation. In 2006, Red Bull Racing achieved their first significant milestone when they finished 4th in the Constructors' Championship. It was a testament to their hard work and determination, and it signaled to the world that they were a team on the rise. The season was highlighted by impressive performances, including a strong showing at the Monaco Grand Prix, where David Coulthard secured a commendable third place. This podium finish was a breakthrough moment for the team, and it filled everyone with hope and excitement for the future. As Red Bull Racing laid the groundwork for their future, they also began to develop a reputation for attracting young talent. The team was keen on nurturing drivers who not only had the skills to compete at the highest level, but also embodied the spirit of Red Bull. This vision would soon lead them to discover and develop some of the most promising talents in the sport. But that story was still on the horizon. In the background, Christian Horner was also busy cultivating relationships with key figures in the sport. His approachable demeanor and strategic mindset helped him connect with other teams, sponsors, and media. He understood that building a successful Formula One team was not just about performance on the track, it was also about creating a brand that fans could rally behind. He was keenly aware that the sport was as much about entertainment as it was about competition, and he began to position Red Bull Racing as a team that embodied excitement, innovation, and a touch of rebellion. As the 2006 season drew to a close, Red Bull Racing stood on the cusp of something great. They had transitioned from Jaguar Racing and established a bold new identity that was beginning to resonate with fans. The groundwork had been laid, and the team was ready to take the next steps in their journey. With Christian Horner at the helm, they were not just looking to compete, they were aiming to challenge the status quo and redefine what it meant to be a successful team in Formula One. Reflecting on these formative years, it becomes clear that Red Bull Racing was not just building a team, they were creating a legacy. The challenges they faced, the lessons they learned, and the relationships they forged all played a crucial role in shaping the path ahead. The energy and passion that drove them forward would soon propel them into a new era of success, one that would capture the imagination of fans around the world. But for now, in those early days, they were simply a team finding their way, eager to leave their mark on the sport they loved. In the years of 2007 and 2008, Red Bull Racing began to carve out a more defined identity within the world of Formula One. This period marked a significant shift for the team, as they transitioned from being a newcomer to a serious competitor on the grid. One of the key figures in this transformation was Adrian Newey, a renowned designer whose influence on car performance was becoming increasingly evident. Newey's engineering prowess was pivotal in developing the team's car, the RB3 in 2007 and the RB4 in 2008. His designs were known for their aerodynamic efficiency, a crucial factor in the high-speed world of Formula One. It was during this time that Red Bull started to show glimpses of real potential, a promise that would eventually bloom into something remarkable. David Coulthard, a seasoned driver with a wealth of experience, played a vital role in this evolution. With a career that had already spanned over a decade, Coulthard brought not only talent, but also a calming presence to the team. In 2007, he secured the team's first podium finish at the Monaco Grand Prix, a race steeped in history and prestige. It was a moment that felt like a breakthrough, not just for Coulthard but for Red Bull Racing as a whole. As he navigated the tight streets of Monaco, it was clear that the team was beginning to find its footing, and Coulthard's ability to extract performance from the car was instrumental in showcasing that progress. Alongside Coulthard was Mark Webber, who joined the team in 2007. Webber, an Australian with a fierce competitive spirit, quickly established himself as a key player within the team. His relentless drive and determination resonated with fans and teammates alike. The dynamic between Coulthard and Webber was interesting. They were both experienced drivers, yet they brought different strengths to the table. While Coulthard was often the steady hand, Webber's aggressive style and sheer will to succeed pushed the team to its limits. Their camaraderie, though competitive, was a testament to the growing stability within Red Bull Racing. As the 2007 season unfolded, Red Bull Racing began to improve their standing in the Constructors' Championship. The team finished the season in 4th place, a significant achievement given their relatively short history in the sport. This was a clear indication that the hard work behind the scenes was starting to pay off. The engineering team, led by Newey, was making strides in refining the car's performance, and the drivers were beginning to feel more at home behind the wheel. Each race was a learning experience, and with every lap, they were gathering valuable data to inform their future designs and strategies. 2008 was a year of further growth and development. The RB4 was introduced, and with it came new challenges and opportunities. Newey continued to push the boundaries of design, focusing on aerodynamics and weight distribution to maximize performance. The car featured innovative elements that were becoming synonymous with Newey's approach, such as a low center of gravity and refined front and rear wings. This attention to detail was crucial in the fast-paced world of Formula One, where even the smallest advantage could make a significant difference in lap times. Coulthard and Webber continued to deliver solid performances throughout the season. Both drivers had their moments in the spotlight, showing flashes of brilliance that hinted at the potential locked within the RB4. The team secured multiple points finishes, and their consistency was beginning to attract attention from fans and competitors alike. The atmosphere within the garage was one of optimism and determination, as everyone worked towards the common goal of elevating Red Bull Racing to new heights. The rivalry with other teams was also heating up. McLaren and Ferrari were still the dominant forces in Formula One, but Red Bull was starting to make its presence felt. The battles on the track were becoming more intense, and the team was no longer seen as just another competitor. They were a legitimate threat. This shift in perception was not just about the car's performance, but also about the growing confidence of the drivers and the entire team. They were beginning to believe that they could compete with the best. As the 2008 season progressed, the partnership between Coulthard and Webber deepened. They had developed a mutual respect for one another, understanding that their combined efforts were crucial to the team's success. The two drivers often shared insights and feedback, helping the engineers fine-tune the car's setup for each race weekend. This collaborative spirit was a reflection of the stability that had taken root within Red Bull Racing. The team was no longer just a collection of individuals. They were becoming a cohesive unit, working towards a common purpose. Amidst the challenges of the season, there were moments of joy and celebration. One such moment came during the British Grand Prix, where Coulthard finished in 4th place, just shy of the podium. It was a result that showcased the team's potential and the hard work that had gone into developing the RB4. The cheers from the team in the pit lane echoed the sentiment of a job well done, a testament to the hours of dedication and sweat that had been poured into the project. Webber too had his share of highlights, displaying his tenacity and skill in a sport that often demands the utmost precision. His performances were increasingly competitive, and he was starting to become a driver that others respected on the grid. The 2008 season was shaping up to be a turning point for Webber, as he began to find his rhythm with the team and his confidence grew with each passing race. As the seasons progressed, the influence of Adrian Newey became more pronounced. His designs were not just about aesthetics, they were about performance and efficiency. The engineering team was learning from each race, collecting data, and refining their approach. This iterative process was crucial in a sport where technology evolves at a breakneck pace. Newey's ability to innovate and adapt was a key factor in Red Bull's rise, and his vision was starting to take shape in the cars they raced. The growing stability within Red Bull Racing was not just about the cars and the drivers. It extended to the entire team environment. The personnel were becoming more familiar with each other's strengths and weaknesses, creating a culture of collaboration and support. This nurturing atmosphere allowed for creativity and experimentation, which are essential in a field where finding the next big breakthrough can make all the difference. As the 2008 season drew to a close, Red Bull Racing had firmly established itself as a team to watch. The progress they had made over the 2 years was remarkable, and the groundwork was being laid for future success. The performances from Coulthard and Webber were a source of inspiration for the entire team, and the influence of Adrian Newey was beginning to shine through in every aspect of the car's design. While they were still not at the very top of the podium, the signs were there. The team was no longer just participating, they were competing, and they were doing so with a newfound confidence. The challenges they faced were met with determination and resolve, and the lessons learned were invaluable. Each race was a stepping stone, and with each passing lap, Red Bull Racing was edging closer to realizing their dreams of becoming a leading force in Formula One. In 2009, Red Bull Racing truly emerged as a formidable force in Formula One, capturing the attention of fans and rival teams alike. With the introduction of new aerodynamic regulations, the team's RB5 became a key player in the unfolding drama of the season. These new rules were designed to enhance the racing spectacle, encouraging more overtaking and closer racing. For Red Bull, this meant an opportunity to showcase their innovative engineering and design capabilities. The RB5, with its sleek lines and clever aerodynamics, was a significant step forward from its predecessor, the RB4. The engineers at Red Bull, under the guidance of the brilliant Adrian Newey, worked tirelessly to ensure that the car would not only comply with the new rules, but also excel in performance. As the season began, Sebastian Vettel quickly established himself as one of the brightest talents on the grid. His youthful exuberance and raw speed resonated with fans, and as the races unfolded, it became clear that he was more than just a promising driver. He was a genuine contender. The first race of the season, held in Australia, saw Vettel take full advantage of the RB5's capabilities. He navigated the streets of Melbourne with remarkable finesse, clinching victory and sending a powerful message to the paddock. Red Bull Racing was not just participating, they were here to win. This win was not just a personal triumph for Vettel, but also a historic moment for Red Bull Racing, marking their first victory in Formula One. As the races continued, Vettel's confidence grew, and so did the team's reputation. The next significant highlight came in China, where the RB5 once again proved its mettle. The weather was unpredictable, with rain making the conditions challenging. But Vettel, with his skillful driving, showcased his talent, adapting quickly to the slippery track. He managed to secure another victory, and with it, Red Bull Racing's status as a serious contender solidified. The combination of the RB5's aerodynamic efficiency and Vettel's driving prowess began to turn heads across the paddock. Competitors who had once looked at Red Bull as a midfield team now recognized them as a threat. The impact of the RB5 was not limited to just one driver. Mark Webber, Vettel's teammate, also began to find his rhythm in the car. Although he faced some challenges early in the season, including a tough start in Australia, he soon began to demonstrate the potential of the RB5. Webber's experience and racing intelligence complemented Vettel's youthful enthusiasm, creating a dynamic partnership that would benefit the team throughout the season. By the time the European leg of the season began, Red Bull Racing had firmly established itself as a top team, and the excitement around their performances only grew. As the season progressed, the RB5 continued to evolve. The team made crucial updates to enhance its performance, particularly in terms of downforce and handling. The engineers were relentless in their pursuit of perfection, constantly analyzing data and making adjustments. This commitment to improvement became a hallmark of Red Bull Racing. They were not just resting on their laurels, they were continuously pushing the boundaries of what was possible on the track. This relentless pursuit of excellence was evident in their performances, as the RB5 started to dominate qualifying sessions, often securing pole positions. The rivalry with other teams began to heat up, particularly with the likes of McLaren and Ferrari. These teams had long been considered the giants of Formula One, but Red Bull Racing was now challenging that status quo. The tension was palpable, especially as Vettel continued to outperform many seasoned drivers. The excitement among fans grew as they witnessed this new rivalry unfold. The media buzzed with stories of the young German's rise, and soon he was not just a driver, he was a household name. One of the standout moments of the season came during the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. The RB5 was well suited to the high-speed corners of the track, and Vettel put on a masterclass performance. He started the race from pole position and led for most of the event, demonstrating the car's exceptional balance and speed. As he crossed the finish line, securing another victory, the crowd erupted in applause. It was a defining moment, not just for Vettel, but for Red Bull Racing as a whole. They were no longer the underdogs. They were champions in the making. Vettel's triumphs were not without their challenges. The pressures of being a top contender were immense, and with each victory, expectations mounted. However, he handled the spotlight with grace, often attributing his success to the hard work of his team. He was always quick to praise the engineers and mechanics who toiled behind the scenes to ensure the RB5 was in peak condition. This humility endeared him to fans and showcased the team spirit that Red Bull Racing embodied. As the summer break approached, the team found themselves in a thrilling position. With several wins under their belt, they were firmly in the hunt for both the Constructors' Championship and the Drivers' Championship. The energy within the team was electric. They had built something special, and everyone felt it. The atmosphere in the garage was one of camaraderie and determination, as each member understood the importance of their role in this journey. The second half of the season brought even more excitement. Races in Hungary and Belgium saw Red Bull Racing flex their muscles, with Vettel and Webber each claiming victories. The RB5 was becoming synonymous with speed and reliability, and the team was now seen as the one to beat. The strategic decisions made during races, particularly in tyre management and pit stops, were crucial. The team had honed their operations to perfection, ensuring that both drivers were in the best position to capitalize on their car's performance. As the final races approached, the pressure intensified. The world watched closely as the two Red Bull drivers battled for supremacy. The competition was fierce, with both McLaren and Ferrari pushing hard to reclaim their dominance. Yet through it all, Red Bull Racing remained focused and resilient. They had built a team culture that thrived on collaboration and innovation, setting them apart from their rivals. The season culminated in a thrilling showdown at the Brazilian Grand Prix. With the championship on the line, the stakes could not have been higher. The energy at Interlagos was palpable, with fans eagerly anticipating what would unfold. As the race progressed, it became clear that Red Bull Racing had done everything right. The RB5 performed flawlessly, and both drivers executed their strategies with precision. While Vettel ultimately did not win the championship that year, he finished strong, solidifying his reputation as one of the sport's elite talents. By the end of the 2009 season, Red Bull Racing had transformed from a team that was once seen as an outsider into a legitimate powerhouse in Formula One. Their journey was marked by innovation, teamwork, and an unwavering commitment to excellence. The RB5 had become a symbol of their success, showcasing the brilliance of Adrian Newey's design and the remarkable skill of their drivers. The impact of that season would be felt for years to come, setting the stage for Red Bull Racing's future triumphs and solidifying their place in the annals of motorsport history. In a world where speed and precision reigned supreme, Red Bull Racing had firmly established themselves as a team to watch, and the excitement around their journey was just beginning. In the 2010 Formula One season, Red Bull Racing found themselves at the center of an exhilarating and intense title fight. It was a year marked by fierce competition, not just from their rivals, but also within their own team. Sebastian Vettel and Mark Webber, teammates and drivers for Red Bull, were caught in a web of tension as they both aimed for the ultimate prize, the World Championship. The atmosphere was electric, and every race brought its own drama, adding layers to an already complicated relationship. As the season unfolded, it became clear that Red Bull was the team to beat. Their car, the RB6, was a marvel of engineering. With its distinctive high-rake design and exceptional aerodynamics, it was a step ahead of many competitors. The combination of the Renault engine and the innovative chassis allowed for both speed and handling that left rivals struggling to keep pace. With this kind of machinery at their disposal, it was no surprise that Vettel and Webber were consistently at the front of the grid, often battling each other for supremacy. But the tension between the two drivers simmered just below the surface. While both were immensely talented, their dynamic was complicated. Mark Webber, the seasoned veteran, was known for his grit and experience. He had been with the team since 2007 and had seen the transformation of Red Bull from a midfield competitor to a frontrunner. Sebastian Vettel, on the other hand, was the young prodigy, bursting onto the scene and quickly establishing himself as a force to be reckoned with. The team had invested heavily in Vettel, and there was a palpable sense of expectation surrounding him. As the season progressed, this expectation began to weigh heavily on both drivers. The competition was fierce, not just between teammates, but also with other teams. Ferrari and McLaren were formidable opponents, each with their own talented drivers. Fernando Alonso, driving for Ferrari, was in top form, showcasing his skill and determination throughout the season. Lewis Hamilton and Jenson Button, representing McLaren, were also in the mix, adding to the drama of the championship battle. Each race seemed to bring new twists and turns, with the lead in the championship changing hands frequently. As the season reached its climax, the pressure mounted. The tension between Vettel and Webber boiled over during the Turkish Grand Prix, where the two collided while battling for the lead. It was a moment that would define their relationship for the remainder of the season. The incident sparked a media frenzy and created a divide within the team. While both drivers were quick to apologize, the underlying rivalry intensified. It was clear that neither driver was willing to back down, and the stakes were higher than ever. Despite the internal strife, Red Bull remained focused. Their team principal, Christian Horner, played a crucial role in managing the situation. He worked tirelessly to keep the team united, reminding both drivers of their shared goal. The engineering team continued to push the boundaries of performance, ensuring that the RB6 remained competitive. With each passing race, the championship battle became more intense, and the atmosphere in the garage was a mix of camaraderie and competition. As the season progressed, the races unfolded like a gripping story. In the Canadian Grand Prix, Vettel showcased his exceptional talent, taking pole position and winning the race. It was a performance that reaffirmed his status as a title contender. Webber, however, was not to be overshadowed. In the following race in Monaco, he delivered a flawless drive, taking victory and reclaiming the championship lead. The ebb and flow of their rivalry was captivating, drawing fans and experts alike into the drama. Then came the British Grand Prix, a race that would see another twist in the tale. Both drivers were vying for the championship, and the tension was palpable. Vettel had a strong start, but a series of mistakes saw him fall behind. Webber, capitalizing on the situation, finished in a strong position, further solidifying his lead in the championship. The atmosphere was charged, and the media was relentless in their coverage of the growing rivalry. Questions about team favoritism and the dynamics between the two drivers filled the airwaves, adding another layer of complexity to the unfolding drama. As summer approached, the season heated up, both on and off the track. In Hungary, the race was a turning point for both drivers. With Webber and Vettel starting from the front row, the stakes could not have been higher. The race was an intense battle, filled with strategy, tyre management, and the ever-present threat of the rival teams. Ultimately, it was Webber who came out on top, winning the race and extending his lead in the championship. The victory was sweet for him, but the tension with Vettel continued to simmer. The summer break offered a brief respite, a moment for reflection and recalibration. During this time, both drivers had to confront the reality of their situation. The pressure of the championship was immense, and the stakes were higher than ever. As the teams prepared for the second half of the season, it was clear that the rivalry would only intensify. Each driver had their own supporters within the team and among the fans, creating a charged atmosphere that would carry into the remaining races. As the season resumed in Belgium, the race was yet another reminder of the fierce competition that defined 2010. The legendary Spa-Francorchamps circuit provided a dramatic backdrop for the ongoing battle. In a race filled with rain and uncertainty, both drivers showcased their skill and determination. Vettel secured a crucial victory, reigniting his title hopes and closing the gap to Webber in the championship standings. The ebb and flow of their rivalry continued, each race adding another chapter to their story. The Italian Grand Prix at Monza brought its own set of challenges. With passionate fans and a historic track, the atmosphere was electric. Webber and Vettel were both eager to prove themselves, but the tension between them was palpable. The race unfolded with drama, and in a turn of events it was Vettel who triumphed once again, taking the win and further tightening the championship battle. The internal dynamics at Red Bull were becoming increasingly complex, with each driver striving to outdo the other while remaining loyal to the team. As the season approached its climax, the tension reached a fever pitch. The Singapore Grand Prix was a night race that provided a stunning visual spectacle and an intense racing atmosphere. It was a critical race for both drivers, with the championship hanging in the balance. Vettel emerged victorious, showcasing his talent under the lights, while Webber faced a disappointing finish. The tension between the two drivers was palpable, and the championship battle was now a two-horse race. With just a few races left in the season, the stage was set for a thrilling conclusion. The Japanese Grand Prix brought yet another twist, as both drivers fought valiantly for supremacy. The atmosphere was charged, with the championship hanging by a thread. Vettel's victory in Japan further solidified his position as a title contender. The rivalry had reached new heights, and the stakes had never been higher. In the closing races of the season, Red Bull Racing continued to showcase their dominance. The Brazilian Grand Prix was a fitting backdrop for the penultimate race, with both drivers fully aware that the championship was within reach. The atmosphere was electric, and the tension between Vettel and Webber was palpable. Each race brought new challenges and opportunities, but the bond of teamwork was still evident, even amid the rivalry. As they prepared for the final race of the season, the narrative of 2010 had become a thrilling saga, one filled with triumphs, challenges, and the ever-present quest for glory. As the sun began to set over the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi on that fateful day in 2010, the atmosphere was electric, thick with anticipation. It was the final race of the season, and the stakes could not have been higher. Red Bull Racing, having been a dominant force throughout the year, was on the cusp of making history. Sebastian Vettel, the young German driver, was in a position to secure his first world title. All he had to do was finish the race ahead of his rivals. The team had worked tirelessly all season, and now, with everything on the line, their strategy was going to be crucial. From the very beginning of the race, the tension was palpable. The team had decided to put their faith in Vettel's speed and the performance of the car, which had shown remarkable pace throughout the season. They had faith in their strategy, knowing that their rivals at Ferrari were also in the mix, with Fernando Alonso looking to snatch the championship away from Vettel. As the race unfolded, it became clear that the battle was not just between drivers, but also between the strategic minds of the teams. Red Bull had the advantage of a strong qualifying session, with Vettel starting in pole position. This was a crucial factor that allowed them to dictate the race from the front. As the laps ticked by, the tension built. Vettel was driving with a mix of caution and aggression, knowing that every decision he made could impact his title hopes. Behind him, Alonso was fighting his way through the field, and the Ferrari team was keeping a close eye on the unfolding drama. It was a delicate balancing act for Red Bull Racing, as they had to monitor not just their own performance, but also that of their rivals. They knew that if Alonso could get ahead and stay there, it would complicate their plans dramatically. The race strategy that Red Bull had devised was simple, yet effective. They planned to pit Vettel at the right moment to ensure he had fresh tires for the final stint. As the laps rolled on, the team communicated closely with Vettel, guiding him through each phase of the race. Meanwhile, Ferrari made a fumbled call regarding their own strategy. Alonso was struggling to find a way past a slower car, and as the team tried to get him back in the hunt, they miscalculated their pit stop timing. This mistake would prove costly. With just a handful of laps remaining, Vettel found himself in the lead, but the situation was far from secure. The team was nervously watching the timing screens, knowing that Alonso was gaining ground. It was a tense moment for Red Bull Racing, as they saw the potential of both the Drivers' and Constructors' Championships slipping away. But Vettel remained focused, driving with the precision and skill that had marked his season. As the race drew closer to its conclusion, the drama intensified. Alonso was pushing hard, and the Ferrari team was desperate to keep him in the title race. They had hoped to capitalize on any mistake by Vettel, but the young driver was resolute. He was not going to let this opportunity slip through his fingers. With each passing lap, the excitement grew, and the tension reached a fever pitch. In the final moments of the race, everything came to a head. Vettel's lead was shrinking, and the Red Bull team was holding its breath. They knew that if he could just hold on for a few more laps, history would be made. The radio communication between Vettel and his team became crucial, as they provided him with updates on Alonso's position. It was a delicate dance of strategy and skill, and both teams were pushing their drivers to the limit. And then, in a moment that felt like an eternity, the checkered flag waved, and the realization hit. Sebastian Vettel had done it. He crossed the finish line to secure his first World Championship title, becoming the youngest champion in Formula One history. The jubilation erupted from the Red Bull garage, the team celebrating a monumental achievement. They had not only secured the Drivers' Championship, but also the Constructors' Championship, a testament to their hard work and dedication throughout the season. Vettel's joy was palpable, a mix of relief and exhilaration. He had fought hard for this moment, and now it was finally his. The team gathered around him, sharing in the triumph of their collective efforts. This was a victory not just for Vettel, but for every member of Red Bull Racing who had poured their heart and soul into the season. The emotions were overwhelming, a whirlwind of joy, pride, and satisfaction. As the celebrations continued, the significance of this achievement began to sink in. Red Bull Racing had firmly established itself as a powerhouse in the sport, and this was just the beginning. The young German driver and his team had proven that with determination, skill, and a bit of luck, anything was possible. The rivalries that had shaped the season, particularly with Ferrari and Alonso, added an extra layer of excitement to the victory. In the days that followed, the world would reflect on this incredible season, and Red Bull Racing would be forever etched in the annals of Formula One history. The rise of this team and its star driver was nothing short of remarkable, and as fans and pundits looked ahead, they couldn't help but wonder what the future held for Vettel and his team. But for now, in that moment of triumph, all that mattered was the joy of victory and the realization of dreams. Red Bull Racing had made history, and the world of motorsport would never be the same again. As we drift into the world of motorsport, let us take a moment to explore the remarkable journey of Red Bull Racing during the 2011 season. It was a year that would come to define excellence in Formula One, a season where the team and its star driver, Sebastian Vettel, would etch their names into the annals of racing history. Imagine for a moment the excitement in the air as the season began. The roar of engines, the smell of burning rubber, and the anticipation of fans from all corners of the globe. 2011 was not just another year. It was a symphony of speed, precision, and unrivaled performance. Red Bull Racing arrived at the 2011 season with an aura of confidence and determination. After clinching the Constructors' Championship in 2010, they were hungry for more. The team had spent the winter months refining their car, the RB7, which was a masterpiece of engineering. From the very first race in Bahrain, it became clear that Red Bull Racing had set the bar incredibly high. The RB7 was not just a car, it was a finely tuned instrument, designed to maximize downforce and grip, allowing the drivers to push the limits like never before. The aerodynamic innovations and the seamless integration of the Renault engine made for a potent combination that would leave rivals trailing in its wake. Sebastian Vettel, the young German prodigy, was at the helm of this extraordinary machine. He had already proven his worth, but 2011 would be the year he truly blossomed. With a calm demeanor and a laser-sharp focus, Vettel approached each race as if it were a new challenge waiting to be conquered. His confidence was palpable, and as the season unfolded, it became evident that he was in a league of his own. From the very first qualifying session, Vettel showcased his incredible talent, securing pole position in Bahrain, a harbinger of what was to come. As the lights went out for the first race, Vettel's mastery of the RB7 shone through. He led from the start, maintaining a steady pace that left his competitors scrambling to keep up. It was a dominant performance that would become a hallmark of his season. The win in Bahrain was just the beginning, and soon the world would witness a string of victories that would leave even the most seasoned fans in awe. Each race was a display of precision driving, strategic thinking, and the unbreakable bond between man and machine. In Australia, the next stop on the calendar, the streets of Melbourne played host to another stunning performance from Vettel. Qualifying once again saw him on pole, and when the race began, he drove with a level of confidence that made it seem almost effortless. The RB7 danced through corners, and as he crossed the finish line, the cheers echoed around the circuit. The momentum was building, and with each passing race, Vettel was not just winning, he was rewriting the record books. The European leg of the season brought new challenges, but the team remained undeterred. In Malaysia, the conditions were tricky, with rain playing a significant role. Yet, it was just another opportunity for Vettel to showcase his skills. He navigated through the wet track, with a grace that belied the conditions, once again taking the checkered flag. The victories kept coming, and with each one, the pressure mounted on his rivals. Teams like Ferrari and McLaren were left scrambling, trying to decipher the secret to Red Bull's success. As spring turned to summer, the calendar took the teams to the iconic streets of Monaco. The Monaco Grand Prix is often regarded as the jewel in the crown of Formula One, and it was here that Vettel would face one of his greatest challenges, Qualifying was intense, with the narrow streets leaving little room for error. But there was Vettel, once again, on pole position. The race itself was a masterclass in control and strategy. The RB7 was perfectly suited to the tight corners and elevation changes of the circuit. He emerged victorious, solidifying his lead in the championship and further establishing Red Bull Racing's dominance. The season continued with a whirlwind of races, each one more thrilling than the last. In Canada, Vettel faced fierce competition from Jenson Button, who had a knack for turning the race on its head. Yet, even in the face of adversity, Vettel's composure shone through. A late pit stop and a strategic decision allowed him to reclaim the lead and secure yet another win. The resilience of both the driver and the team became evident as they navigated through challenges with a sense of poise that was almost calming to witness. As summer gave way to autumn, the races kept coming, and the victories piled up. In Hungary, the RB7 showcased its unparalleled speed and handling, allowing Vettel to dominate the race once more. The buzz around the paddock was palpable. Could he really win every race? The thought was thrilling, yet daunting. With each passing victory, the pressure grew, but Vettel seemed unfazed. His focus remained unwavering, and it was clear that he was on a mission. By the time the season reached its climax, Red Bull Racing had established itself as not just a team, but a force of nature. Vettel had already secured the championship by the time they arrived in India, but he was not done yet. The atmosphere was electric as he took to the track once more, and with a dazzling performance he claimed yet another victory. The RB7 was a relentless machine, and Vettel was the perfect conductor, orchestrating a symphony of speed and precision. The season would conclude with a final flourish in Brazil, where the excitement was palpable. As the drivers lined up on the grid, there was a sense of history in the making. Vettel had already etched his name into the record books, but the thrill of racing was still very much alive. The race itself was a fitting end to an extraordinary season, with Vettel showcasing his skill and determination once more. As he crossed the finish line, the cheers echoed around the Interlagos circuit, a testament to the remarkable journey that had unfolded over the course of the year. In the end, 2011 was more than just a season for Red Bull Racing. It was a defining moment in the history of Formula One. The dominance of the RB7 and the brilliance of Sebastian Vettel set a new standard for excellence in the sport. Rivals and fans alike were left in awe, and the memories of that season still resonate, a reminder of what can be achieved with passion, dedication, and a relentless pursuit of perfection. The echoes of victory, the roar of the engines, and the thrill of competition will forever be etched in the hearts of those who witnessed it. As the sun began to rise on the first half of the 2012 Formula One season, Red Bull Racing found themselves in the midst of a thrilling, unpredictable title battle that kept fans and teams alike on the edge of their seats. The previous year had seen Sebastian Vettel dominate, clinching his second consecutive world championship with a remarkable display of talent and consistency. However, as the new season unfolded, it quickly became clear that the landscape of Formula One had shifted dramatically. The competition was fierce, with several teams, including Ferrari, McLaren, and Lotus, emerging as formidable contenders. Each race seemed to bring a new winner, a new story, and a fresh set of challenges for the team. At the very first race in Australia, the air was thick with anticipation. The Melbourne Grand Prix, always a favourite for its vibrant atmosphere, set the tone for what would become a roller coaster of a season. Sebastian Vettel, the reigning champion, started on pole position, but the race unfolded in a way that no one expected. Jenson Button, driving for McLaren, showcased his own skill and determination, ultimately crossing the finish line first, leaving Vettel and his teammate Mark Webber to settle for second and third, respectively. The unexpected turn of events sent ripples through the Red Bull camp as they realized that consistency would be a crucial factor in this season's championship battle. As the teams moved to Malaysia for the second round, Red Bull Racing found themselves facing even tougher challenges. Rain played a significant role in the race, creating chaos on the track and forcing drivers to make quick decisions. It was in this unpredictable environment that Vettel and Webber showcased their incredible driving skills. The two Red Bull drivers fought hard, with Vettel ultimately taking the victory. It was a much-needed boost for the team, reminding them of their strength. However, the joy of victory was quickly tempered by the realization that the competition was still fierce. The battle for the championship would not be easily won, and consistency would be key. Next came the Chinese Grand Prix, where the tension continued to rise. The race was a showcase of strategy and skill, with teams experimenting with different tire compounds and pit stop strategies. Once again, the podium saw a different face, with Lewis Hamilton taking the win for McLaren. Red Bull Racing had to navigate the disappointment of not finishing at the top, but they remained optimistic. They knew the season was long, and each race was a learning experience. The team's engineers and strategists were hard at work, analyzing data and making adjustments to ensure they could compete at the highest level. As the teams traveled to Bahrain, the stakes felt even higher. The circuit was known for its unique challenges, and this race would test the drivers' skills and the team's preparations. Mark Webber put in a stellar performance, claiming pole position and ultimately winning the race. It was a triumphant moment for the Australian driver, who had faced his own set of challenges in the previous seasons. For Red Bull Racing, it was a reminder that they were still a force to be reckoned with. The team celebrated, but they knew the battle was far from over. The excitement continued as the teams headed to Europe, with the Spanish Grand Prix next on the calendar. Here the competition was relentless. Fernando Alonso, driving for Ferrari, put on a spectacular performance, taking the win on home soil. Red Bull Racing struggled to find the same pace as their rivals, and the team was starting to feel the pressure. With each race, the importance of consistency became clearer. The championship was still wide open, and every point mattered. The engineers worked tirelessly, making adjustments to the car in search of that elusive edge. As the season progressed, the Monaco Grand Prix arrived, a race steeped in history and prestige. The streets of Monte Carlo posed unique challenges, and the atmosphere was electric. Sebastian Vettel and Mark Webber both had their sights set on victory, but it was the young driver Nico Rosberg who surprised everyone by taking the win. Red Bull Racing finished strong, but their rivals were proving to be equally formidable. The unpredictability of the season continued to create a sense of urgency within the team. They knew they had to find a way to regain their momentum. The Canadian Grand Prix was next, and it brought with it a sense of hope for Red Bull Racing. The circuit was fast and demanding, and the team was eager to showcase their capabilities. Sebastian Vettel put in a masterful performance, leading the race and demonstrating his incredible skill behind the wheel. As he crossed the finish line first, it felt like a turning point for the team. They had managed to reclaim their position at the top, and the championship battle was heating up once again. However, the joy of victory was short-lived, as they moved to the European Grand Prix in Valencia. The race was a dramatic affair, with the lead changing hands multiple times. Despite a strong showing, Red Bull Racing struggled to maintain the same level of performance they had showcased in Canada. Fernando Alonso took the win, and the team felt the weight of the competition bearing down on them. It became increasingly clear that consistency was paramount in this unpredictable season. The British Grand Prix followed, held at the historic Silverstone circuit. The atmosphere was electric, with a passionate home crowd cheering on Lewis Hamilton. Red Bull Racing knew they had to bring their best to this race. Once again, the competition was fierce, with Hamilton taking the victory. The team felt the frustration of not being able to secure a win, but they remained focused on the bigger picture. Each race was a stepping stone, and they were determined to find their rhythm. As the teams headed to Germany for the Hockenheimring race, the pressure was mounting. Red Bull Racing needed a strong performance to stay in the championship hunt. The race itself unfolded with drama, and once again, it was Lewis Hamilton who emerged victorious. The team felt the sting of defeat, but they also recognized that the battle was not just about individual races, it was about the long game. They needed to regroup, refocus, and find a way to regain their advantage. The Hungarian Grand Prix was next, a race that often served as a turning point in the season. The tight and twisty circuit offered little room for error, and Red Bull Racing knew they had to be on their game. Sebastian Vettel delivered a stellar performance, taking the win and reminding everyone of his champion pedigree. The team celebrated this much-needed victory, feeling a renewed sense of hope. With the championship battle still wide open, they knew they had the talent and the drive to make a comeback. As the first half of the 2012 season came to a close, Red Bull Racing found themselves in a position they had not anticipated. The unpredictability of race winners and the constant challenge of consistency had tested the team in ways they had not expected. Each race brought new challenges, new competitors, and new lessons. The team was determined to learn from their setbacks, to adapt, and to find their rhythm as they moved into the second half of the season. The journey of Red Bull Racing in those early months of 2012 was a reminder that in the world of Formula One, nothing is ever guaranteed. The thrill of victory and the agony of defeat are often just a heartbeat apart. But through it all, the unwavering spirit of the team remained intact. With their eyes set firmly on the championship, they prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that the race was far from over. As the sun rose on the second half of the 2012 Formula One season, Red Bull Racing found themselves at a crucial juncture. The first half of the year had been a bit of a struggle, with rivals like Ferrari and McLaren showing strong performances. But as the summer break ended and the calendar turned to Belgium, something magical began to unfold. Sebastian Vettel, the young German prodigy who had already made a name for himself with the team, was ready to unleash his full potential. The Belgian Grand Prix at Spa-Francorchamps was the perfect setting for what would become a remarkable run. On that August day, the atmosphere was electric as the cars lined up on the grid. The roar of the engines echoed through the verdant hills, and it was clear that the fans were eager for a show. From the start, it was evident that Vettel had a different mindset. He shot off the line, quickly taking the lead, and demonstrating the kind of confidence that comes from knowing you have the best car under you. As the race unfolded, he showcased his skill, navigating the challenging corners with precision. By the end of the race, he crossed the finish line first, marking the beginning of a victorious streak that would carry him through the rest of the season. Vettel's win in Belgium was not just a triumph, it was a statement. The team had found their rhythm, and the confidence surged within the Red Bull garage. Just a week later, in Italy at Monza, the atmosphere shifted yet again. Monza, with its passionate tifosi and storied history, was always a special race. But on this day, it was Vettel who stole the show once more. He had a fantastic start, and as the race progressed, it became a demonstration of sheer dominance. He fought fiercely against the likes of Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton, both formidable foes. Yet it was Vettel who emerged victorious, claiming his second consecutive win and solidifying his position as a title contender. With each passing race, the momentum grew. In Singapore, under the glittering city lights, Vettel put on another brilliant performance. The night race was always a spectacle, but for Vettel, it was another opportunity to showcase his talents. He started from pole position, and from the get-go, he was in control. The way he managed tire wear and executed his strategy was nothing short of masterful. As he crossed the line, it was clear that he was not just racing against his rivals, he was racing against history, inching closer to securing his third consecutive championship. Next came Japan, a place that held a special significance for Red Bull racing. The Suzuka circuit is known for its technical challenges, and it was here that Vettel truly shone. The race was a test of skill, and once again, he proved to be the master of the track. The way he navigated the infamous figure-8 layout was poetry in motion. With each lap, he pulled further away from his competitors, and when he finally crossed the finish line, it was his fourth win in a row. The team was on fire, and it felt like destiny was aligning in their favor. As the season rolled into India, the pressure was palpable. The championship was within reach, and the team knew they had to keep their foot on the gas. The race in Greater Noida was another showcase of Vettel's remarkable talent. He qualified on pole, and as the lights went out, he executed a flawless start. The race unfolded with intensity, and while there were moments of doubt, he held his nerve. With a strategic pit stop and some clever tire management, he once again secured victory. This win was pivotal, as it brought him closer to clinching the title. But as the season approached its climax, the narrative was shifting. The next race in Abu Dhabi was filled with drama. It was not just about winning, it was about survival. Vettel faced challenges early on, including an incident where he found himself with a damaged car after a first-lap collision. It could have been a disastrous turn of events, but in true champion fashion, he fought back. The determination he showed was inspiring. He clawed his way back through the field, showcasing his exceptional racing intellect. In the end, he managed to finish in third place, an incredible feat considering the circumstances. This was a pivotal moment that showcased not just his driving skills, but also his resilience and ability to perform under pressure. With just one race left in the season, the tension was at an all-time high. The Brazilian Grand Prix at Interlagos would be the decider. The atmosphere was charged with excitement and anxiety, as fans and teams alike knew that everything was on the line. The race began, and it was a chaotic affair from the start. The weather played a significant role, with rain threatening to throw a wrench into the plans of all the teams. As the race unfolded, it became a true test of character for all involved. Vettel faced numerous challenges during the race, including a first-lap incident that sent him tumbling down the order. It was a tense moment, as he found himself in a precarious position. The heart of every Red Bull fan must have raced as they watched their champion struggle to regain his footing. But this was where his experience shone through. He made calculated moves, navigating through the field with determination. The rain continued to fall, and the conditions worsened. This was a race that demanded precision, and Vettel was up to the task. As the laps ticked away, the tension grew. Rival drivers were battling fiercely, and every position counted. The sound of the engines, mixed with the cheers and gasps from the crowd, created an atmosphere that was both exhilarating and nerve-wracking. Vettel managed to claw his way back into a position that would allow him to fight for the championship. But it wasn't just about him. His teammate Mark Webber was also in the mix, and the team dynamics played a crucial role in the outcome. In the closing laps, the weather began to clear, and the track conditions shifted once again. Drivers were making strategic decisions about whether to switch to slick tires or stay on intermediates. It was a high-stakes gamble. As the race neared its end, Vettel found himself in a position to finish well enough to secure the title. The tension was palpable. It felt like every heartbeat was synchronized with the rhythm of the race. Finally, as the checkered flag waved, it was a moment of both relief and jubilation. Vettel crossed the finish line in 6th place, and that was enough to secure the championship. The emotions poured out, not just for him but for the entire Red Bull Racing team. They had fought through adversity, faced challenges head-on, and emerged victorious. It was the culmination of hard work, determination, and an unyielding spirit. In that moment, as Vettel celebrated with his team, it was a reminder of the journey they had taken together. From the struggles of the early season to the triumphs of the second half, Red Bull Racing had proven that they were a force to be reckoned with in the world of Formula One. The celebration was heartfelt, and the joy radiated from the team as they lifted the Constructors' Championship trophy, solidifying their place in the annals of motorsport history. As the season came to a close, it was clear that the story of Red Bull Racing was far from over. The challenges they had faced only made them stronger, and the victories they had achieved were just the beginning of a new chapter in their legacy. The world of Formula One would be watching closely, as Red Bull Racing had firmly established themselves as a powerhouse, ready to take on whatever the future held. As the sun set on the bustling world of Formula One in the year 2013, a remarkable chapter was unfolding within the paddocks of the sport. Red Bull Racing, under the guidance of their brilliant team principal Christian Horner, had entered the season with a sense of purpose and determination. The team had already made a name for themselves, but what they achieved during this year would cement their legacy in the annals of motorsport history. This was the year when Sebastian Vettel, their star driver, would embark on a journey that would see him achieve an unprecedented 9 consecutive race victories, a feat that would echo through the years to come. The RB9, the car that would carry Vettel and his teammate Mark Webber throughout the season, was a masterpiece of engineering. Crafted by the talented minds at Red Bull, led by the renowned designer Adrian Newey, the RB9 was not just a car, it was a symphony of speed and precision. From its sleek aerodynamic lines to its powerful Renault engine, every element of the RB9 was designed to dominate the track. The car's balance and handling were second to none, allowing the drivers to push the limits of performance while maintaining a sense of control that few other teams could match. As the season kicked off in Australia, the atmosphere was electric. Fans from all over the world gathered to witness the beginning of what would become a thrilling campaign. From the very start, it was clear that Red Bull Racing had come to play. Sebastian Vettel claimed pole position with a stunning lap, and when the lights went out, he shot off into the lead, quickly establishing his dominance over the field. The RB9 was a rocket, gliding through the corners and straightaways with an ease that left rivals scratching their heads. As the checkered flag waved, Vettel crossed the line first, setting the tone for what was to come. In the following races, the RB9 continued to showcase its superiority. In Malaysia, Vettel found himself in a tense battle with his teammate Webber. The two drivers, both incredibly talented, fought hard for the top spot. But in a moment that would spark controversy, Vettel ignored team orders to maintain position, overtaking Webber and claiming his second victory of the season. This incident would later be remembered as a pivotal moment in the team's history, highlighting the fierce competitive spirit that resided within the garage. Yet, amidst the tension, one thing was clear: the RB9 was a formidable machine. As the season progressed, Vettel's confidence grew. The team executed flawless pit stops, and their strategic decisions were spot on. Each race saw Vettel and the RB9 perform like a well-oiled machine, dominating the tracks from Bahrain to Barcelona. By the time they arrived in Canada, the world was watching with bated breath. Vettel had already notched up 5 victories in a row, and the idea of a record-setting streak was beginning to take shape. In Montreal, the atmosphere was palpable. The streets were alive with excitement, and as the race unfolded, it became evident that Vettel was in a league of his own. He navigated the tight corners and long straights with a grace that belied the immense pressure he was under. As he crossed the line to take his 6th consecutive win, the entire team erupted in celebration. The world began to take notice of the incredible run Vettel was on, and the idea of a 9-race win streak was no longer just a dream. It was becoming a reality. The momentum continued into the next races. In Silverstone, the home of British motorsport, Vettel faced new challenges. The weather was unpredictable, and the track conditions fluctuated throughout the weekend. Yet with the support of his team and the unmatched performance of the RB9, Vettel was able to secure victory once again. His ability to adapt to the changing conditions showcased not only his skill as a driver, but also the resilience and ingenuity of the Red Bull racing team. As the summer heated up, so did the competition. Rival teams like Mercedes and Ferrari began to find their footing, and the pressure on Red Bull Racing intensified. But with each race, Vettel and the RB9 continued to shine. In Hungary, he achieved his 8th consecutive victory, a milestone that had never been reached before. The cheers from the Red Bull garage echoed through the paddock, a testament to the hard work and dedication that had gone into this incredible achievement. By the time they reached the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa-Francorchamps, the excitement was almost palpable. The iconic circuit, known for its challenging layout and unpredictable weather, would be the stage for Vettel's quest for a record-setting 9th win. As the cars lined up on the grid, the tension was thick. Vettel, calm and focused, was ready to write his name into the history books. The race began, and the RB9 quickly established itself as the car to beat. As the laps ticked by, Vettel demonstrated his mastery of the circuit, weaving through the challenging corners with precision. The cheers of the fans fueled his determination, and with each passing lap, it felt as though history was within reach. In a thrilling finish, Vettel crossed the line first, securing his 9th consecutive victory. The cheers from the Red Bull garage erupted once more, a chorus of joy and disbelief. It was a moment that would forever be etched in the minds of all who witnessed it. As the season continued, the story of Red Bull Racing was not just about Vettel's remarkable achievements, but also about the teamwork and camaraderie that defined the entire organization. Mark Webber, though often overshadowed by Vettel's brilliance, played a crucial role in the team's success. His experience and dedication were invaluable, and the bond between the drivers was one of mutual respect, despite the fierce competition. The RB9 was not just a car, it was a testament to the hard work and innovation that Red Bull Racing brought to the sport. The engineers and mechanics worked tirelessly, often late into the night, to ensure that every detail was perfect. Their commitment to excellence was evident in every race, and the results spoke for themselves. The team executed each pit stop with precision, their strategic decisions often proving to be the difference between victory and defeat. As the season drew to a close, the accolades continued to pour in for both Vettel and Red Bull Racing. The team secured their 4th consecutive Constructors' Championship, solidifying their place in Formula One history. Vettel too claimed his 4th Drivers' Championship, a remarkable achievement that underscored his dominance over the sport during this period. Reflecting on the 2013 season, it's clear that Red Bull Racing had not only established themselves as a powerhouse in Formula One, but had also redefined what it meant to be a champion. The combination of talent, innovation, and unwavering determination set them apart, and their legacy would inspire future generations of drivers and teams. In the years that followed, the story of Red Bull Racing and Sebastian Vettel's extraordinary 9-race win streak would continue to be told, a reminder of what can be achieved when passion and perseverance come together. The memories of that season would linger in the hearts of fans and team members alike, a beautiful chapter in the ever-evolving saga of Formula One. As we drift into the world of Formula One during the 2014 season, it's important to remember that this was a time of significant change, not just for Red Bull Racing but for the entire sport. You see, in that year, the Formula One teams were introduced to a new era of racing with the arrival of turbo-hybrid engines. This marked a shift from the traditional naturally aspirated engines that had dominated for so long. For Red Bull, who had just enjoyed 4 consecutive championship victories with their previous power units, this change was like stepping into uncharted waters. Red Bull Racing, a team that had risen to prominence in the early 2000s, was built on a foundation of innovation and a fierce competitive spirit. They had established themselves as a powerhouse in the sport, with Sebastian Vettel driving to glory and collecting titles like they were trophies in a cabinet. The team had created an almost unbeatable machine, a combination of engineering excellence from the likes of Adrian Newey and the sheer talent of Vettel behind the wheel. However, with the turbo-hybrid engines came a new set of challenges that would test their mettle. Renault, who had been Red Bull's engine partner during their golden years, was tasked with developing the new power unit that would power the cars in this new hybrid era. The partnership had been fruitful in the past, but the transition to the turbo-hybrid engine was fraught with difficulties. The engines were complex, combining a turbocharger with an energy recovery system that captured kinetic energy during braking. It was a brilliant concept, but as the season unfolded, it became clear that Renault was struggling to deliver a competitive and reliable power unit. The difficulties began to surface during the pre-season testing in Jerez, Spain. While other teams were finding their rhythm and understanding the new technology, Red Bull's cars were plagued with issues. Engine failures and performance problems became all too common, casting a shadow over the team's aspirations for the season. It was a stark contrast to the confidence they had carried into previous seasons. The whispers of doubt began to echo in the paddock, and it was evident that the once dominant team was facing a steep uphill battle. Amidst these challenges, a new figure was stepping into the spotlight at Red Bull Racing. Daniel Ricciardo, an Australian driver known for his cheerful demeanor and impressive talent, was making his debut with the team. Ricciardo had spent a couple of seasons with Toro Rosso, the sister team of Red Bull, and had caught the attention of many with his dynamic driving style and ability to extract performance from the car. His promotion to Red Bull Racing was seen as a fresh start, a chance for the team to rejuvenate itself with new energy and perspective. As the season kicked off in Australia, the tension was palpable. The home crowd was buzzing, and Ricciardo was eager to make a mark. However, the race weekend was overshadowed by the struggles of the team. Vettel, who was used to dominating, found himself unable to compete with the likes of Mercedes, who had adapted seamlessly to the new regulations. Ricciardo, on the other hand, showcased his talent by finishing second, a glimmer of hope for the team amidst the turmoil. Yet the reality was that Red Bull was no longer the team to beat. They were now chasing the competition. As the races unfolded, it became clear that the power struggle was not just on the track, but also within the team. The relationship between Red Bull Racing and Renault began to fray under the pressure of poor performance. The team was vocal about their frustrations, and it was evident that they were not happy with the pace of development from their engine supplier. The once harmonious partnership was now strained, and the ramifications were felt not just in the garage but also on the track. The Monaco Grand Prix offered a turning point for Ricciardo. In a race filled with drama and strategy, he found himself in the lead, showcasing his skill and determination. It seemed that Red Bull had finally found a way to compete with the frontrunners. However, fate had other plans. A botched pit stop during the race cost him valuable time, and he ultimately finished second, a bittersweet result that highlighted both the potential of the team and the frustration of missed opportunities. As the season progressed, Ricciardo continued to shine, consistently outpacing his more experienced teammate, Vettel. The dynamics within the team shifted, with Ricciardo emerging as the new star. His infectious enthusiasm and ability to connect with fans breathed new life into Red Bull Racing. Yet the shadow of Renault's power unit loomed large. The team was still grappling with reliability issues, and the gap to Mercedes seemed insurmountable. By the time the summer break arrived, Red Bull Racing was left to reflect on a season that had been anything but straightforward. The end of their title streak was not just a statistic, it was a moment that marked the end of an era. With Mercedes dominating the championship, it became increasingly clear that Red Bull had to adapt and evolve if they were to reclaim their position at the top of the sport. The 2014 season was one of learning and adjustment for Red Bull Racing. The introduction of the turbo hybrid engines brought challenges that tested the team's resilience and adaptability. It was a time of uncertainty, but it also offered a glimpse into the potential of new talent, like Daniel Ricciardo. The team had to confront the reality that their dominance was no longer guaranteed, and that the landscape of Formula One was changing. As the year drew to a close, the team was left to ponder their future. The struggles with Renault's power unit had highlighted the importance of a strong partnership in Formula One. They knew they needed to regroup, to innovate, and to find solutions that would help them rise again. The spirit of competition that had fueled their success for so long was still alive, but it would take time and effort to harness that energy once more. In the quiet moments of reflection, the team understood that every challenge was an opportunity for growth. They were not just a racing team, they were a family, and together they would navigate the complexities of the sport. The road ahead might be uncertain, but the heart of Red Bull Racing was as fierce as ever. With a new season on the horizon, they were ready to embrace the future, to learn from the past, and to strive for greatness once more. In the years 2014 and 2015, Red Bull Racing found themselves in a whirlwind of challenges and changes. But amidst the struggle, one driver shone brightly, Daniel Ricciardo. With his infectious smile and relentless spirit, Ricciardo became the heart of the team, showcasing a consistency that would be vital during a period when Red Bull was striving to re-establish its dominance in Formula One. The team was coming off a remarkable era, having secured 4 consecutive Constructors' Championships and Drivers' Championships between 2010 and 2013. However, the introduction of the new turbo hybrid power units in 2014 shifted the landscape dramatically, and Red Bull faced significant hurdles. The season began with a sense of uncertainty. The new regulations were a double-edged sword. On one hand, they provided an opportunity for teams to innovate and push the boundaries of engineering. On the other, they posed a steep learning curve. Red Bull's longtime technical partner, Renault, struggled to adapt to the new power units, and the team was left grappling with performance issues. The once dominant Red Bull was now battling midfield teams, which was a stark contrast to their previous glory. Tensions were high, and the atmosphere in the garage was thick with a mix of determination and frustration. Yet amidst the growing challenges, Ricciardo emerged as a beacon of hope for the team. His first victory in 2014 came at the Canadian Grand Prix, a race that would prove to be a turning point, not only for him but for Red Bull as well. As the cars roared to life on that sunny day in Montreal, Ricciardo started from 6th on the grid. His racecraft was on full display as he executed daring overtakes, showcasing his ability to capitalize on opportunities. The race unfolded with a thrilling mix of strategy and speed, and as Ricciardo crossed the finish line first, the jubilation in the Red Bull camp was palpable. It was a moment that reignited the team's spirit and reminded everyone of their competitive edge. But the journey was far from smooth. Despite Ricciardo's impressive win in Canada, the team continued to struggle with the Renault power unit's reliability and performance. The car was not as competitive as they had hoped, and the frustration was evident, especially during the early races of the season. Rivals like Mercedes, with their commanding performance, seemed to be on a different planet altogether. Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg were dominating the championship, and Red Bull's efforts to keep pace felt like a daunting uphill battle. Ricciardo's second victory of the season came at the Hungarian Grand Prix, a race that showcased his tenacity and skill. Starting from pole position, he was able to fend off challenges from both Hamilton and Rosberg, proving that Red Bull still had the ability to compete at the highest level. The race was a masterclass in tire management and strategic driving, with Ricciardo's calm demeanor behind the wheel, allowing him to navigate the pressures of leading the pack. The victory was a sweet reminder that even in tough times, Red Bull could still produce moments of brilliance. As the season progressed, the team continued to push for improvements, both on and off the track. The engineers were working tirelessly to extract more performance from the car, and Ricciardo's feedback was invaluable. He had developed a reputation for being articulate and insightful, qualities that made him an asset during testing and development. However, the challenges were relentless. The third win of the season came at the Belgian Grand Prix, another highlight in Ricciardo's growing legacy. The race was thrilling, with Ricciardo showcasing his skill in the wet conditions. It was a reminder of his determination and ability to thrive under pressure. However, the overall performance of the team remained inconsistent. Ricciardo's wins were celebrated, but they stood in stark contrast to the struggles of his teammate, Sebastian Vettel, who was grappling with the car's limitations. The dynamic between the two drivers was complex. They had shared a successful partnership in previous seasons, but as Vettel faced difficulties, Ricciardo's rise to prominence became more pronounced. It was a bittersweet situation, as the team was thrilled for Ricciardo, yet concerned about the challenges facing their once leader. As the season drew to a close, it became clear that Red Bull Racing was in a transitional phase. The team had to confront the realities of a changing sport. The dominance they once enjoyed was no longer guaranteed, and the competition had become fiercer than ever. Yet Ricciardo's performances provided a glimmer of hope. He finished the season on a high note, claiming third place in the Drivers' Championship, a remarkable achievement considering the struggles the team had faced. In 2015, Red Bull Racing entered the season with a renewed determination to reclaim their place among the elite. The team continued to face challenges with the Renault power unit, which was still not delivering the expected performance. Ricciardo, however, remained a source of inspiration. His positive attitude and relentless work ethic endeared him to both the team and the fans. He became a symbol of resilience in a time of uncertainty, reminding everyone that success is often built on perseverance. The season began with hope, but quickly revealed that the issues with the power unit had not been resolved. Mercedes continued to dominate, and the gap between the two teams felt insurmountable at times. Yet Ricciardo's spirit shone through. He had a knack for finding opportunities where others saw obstacles. His ability to extract the maximum from the car during races became a hallmark of his driving style. As the races unfolded, Ricciardo delivered several strong performances, often finishing in the points and showcasing his skill, even if a podium finish felt elusive. The team fought hard to improve the car, and Ricciardo's input was crucial in guiding the engineers toward potential solutions. He became known for his ability to articulate the car's behavior, providing insights that were essential for development. The season had its ups and downs, but Ricciardo's consistency kept Red Bull in the conversation. He secured a strong second-place finish at the Monaco Grand Prix, a race steeped in history and prestige. The narrow streets and challenging layout of Monaco demanded precision and focus, and Ricciardo demonstrated both. It was a race where strategy and skill were paramount, and Ricciardo's performance was a testament to his growth as a driver. However, the overall competitiveness of the team remained a concern. The struggles with the Renault power unit were still evident, and the team was often left to battle with Ferrari and Williams for points rather than challenging for victories. The atmosphere in the garage was one of determination, but there was also an underlying sense of urgency. Red Bull needed to find a way to regain their footing in the sport. Ricciardo's infectious enthusiasm and relentless drive kept the team motivated. He became a leader in his own right, encouraging his teammates and fostering a positive environment despite the challenges. The bond he formed with his engineers and mechanics was palpable, and it became clear that his impact extended beyond just his driving. He was a unifying force for the team, reminding everyone that the journey was just as important as the destination. As the season progressed, the team continued to push for improvements, and Ricciardo remained a key figure in their efforts. His ability to adapt and evolve was evident in his performances, as he consistently extracted the best from the car. While victories were hard to come by, Ricciardo's determination ensured that Red Bull remained competitive in the midfield battles. By the end of the 2015 season, Ricciardo had solidified his place as one of the standout drivers in Formula One. Despite the challenges faced by Red Bull Racing, his 3 victories in 2014 and consistent performances in 2015 showcased his talent and resilience. He had become a symbol of hope for the team, a reminder that even in the face of adversity, passion and determination could lead to success. As the team looked ahead to the future, Ricciardo's contributions would undoubtedly play a crucial role in their journey back to the top. As the sun began to rise on the city of Barcelona in May of 2016, the excitement was palpable. The Formula One circus had rolled into town, and with it came the promise of speed, skill, and the kind of drama that only motorsport can deliver. But this year, the buzz was different. There was a fresh name on everyone's lips, a young driver who was already making waves before the season had even reached its halfway point. Max Verstappen, just 18 years old, had been thrust into the limelight, and the world was watching, eager to see what this prodigy could do. Red Bull Racing had made the bold decision to promote Verstappen from their sister team Toro Rosso to the main squad mid-season. This was not merely an act of faith, it was a calculated risk that could reshape the future of the team. Verstappen had already shown flashes of brilliance in his time with Toro Rosso, becoming the youngest driver to compete in Formula One just the year before, in 2015. His aggressive driving style, combined with an uncanny ability to read a race, had captured the attention of fans and critics alike. When Red Bull made the call to bring him up, it was as if they were opening the door to a new era, one that could potentially lead them back to the top of the sport. The Spanish Grand Prix was the stage set for Verstappen's debut victory, a race that would go down in history as one of the most dramatic and thrilling events in Formula One. As the cars lined up on the grid, there was a palpable tension in the air. The excitement among the fans was electric, and the anticipation of the race was heightened by the knowledge that Verstappen would be starting from the 4th position. This was a remarkable feat for someone so new to the team, and it only added to the legend that was beginning to grow around him. From the very start, the race unfolded with a series of twists and turns that would keep everyone on the edge of their seats. The 2 drivers from Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg, were locked in a fierce battle. They had dominated the season thus far, and it seemed as if they would continue their reign at the top. But little did they know that today would not be their day. As the lights went out, the roar of the engines filled the air, and the race began in earnest. Verstappen, with his characteristic boldness, quickly made his move, darting past his competitors with a confidence that belied his age. He was racing not just against the clock, but against seasoned drivers who had years of experience on him. Yet there was a certain magic in the way he navigated the track. His ability to find the perfect line, to push the limits of his car, was something that few could match. With each lap, he climbed higher in the ranks, showing that he was more than just a rookie. He was a force to be reckoned with. As the race progressed, the tension heightened. On lap 20, disaster struck for the Mercedes team. Hamilton and Rosberg collided, a moment that sent shockwaves through the paddock and left Verstappen with an unexpected opportunity. With two of the strongest contenders out of the race, the path was clear for the young driver to claim victory. It was a surreal moment, one that felt almost scripted, as the world watched in awe. The cheers from the crowd grew louder as Verstappen took the lead, a young man on the verge of making history. Crossing the finish line, the realization of what had just happened began to sink in. Max Verstappen had not only won the race, but had become the youngest winner in Formula One history at the tender age of 18 years and 75 days. The celebrations that followed were a mix of pure joy and disbelief. The Red Bull team erupted in cheers, embracing one another in a moment of triumph that felt like a dream. Verstappen, with his trademark grin, celebrated with his team, soaking in the magnitude of his achievement. It was a moment that would forever be etched in the annals of motorsport history. In the aftermath of the race, the media frenzy erupted. Headlines proclaimed Verstappen as the next big thing, a driver who could potentially lead Red Bull racing into a new golden age. The victory had not only given him a place in the record books but had also solidified his position within the team. The buzz surrounding his talent was palpable, and fans around the world began to rally behind him, eager to witness the rise of a new star. Red Bull Racing, with this victory, began to reshape its future. The team had faced its share of challenges in the years leading up to this moment. After dominating the sport in the early 2010s, they had struggled to keep pace with the likes of Mercedes. But with Verstappen's arrival, there was a renewed sense of hope. The young Dutchman represented not just a new driver, but a new philosophy, a willingness to take risks, to push boundaries, and to embrace the spirit of racing that had made Red Bull famous. As the season continued, Verstappen's performance only added to the excitement. Each race saw him grow more confident, more daring. He quickly became known for his fearless overtakes and his ability to adapt under pressure. His relationship with his teammate Daniel Ricciardo also played a crucial role in his development. Ricciardo, a seasoned driver with a playful spirit, helped create an environment that encouraged Verstappen to flourish. The two pushed each other, their friendly rivalry becoming a key part of the team's dynamic. But it wasn't just about Verstappen. The entire Red Bull organization began to evolve. Engineers and strategists rallied around their new star, refining the car and honing their strategies to maximize his potential. The team's management recognized that they were on the cusp of something special. They began investing more in their young talent, focusing on nurturing the next generation of drivers who could follow in Verstappen's footsteps. As the summer months rolled on, the momentum continued to build. Fans flocked to the circuits, eager to witness Verstappen's magic on track. He had quickly become a fan favorite, not just for his driving skills, but for his approachable personality. He was relatable, a young man living his dream, and the world couldn't help but cheer him on. The season was far from over, and while Red Bull Racing faced stiff competition from Mercedes and Ferrari, there was a sense of optimism in the air. The team was on the rise, and Verstappen was at the center of it all. Each race became a chapter in a story that was still being written, a narrative of ambition, talent, and the relentless pursuit of success. In those moments, as fans settled in for the races, they were not just watching cars go around a track. They were witnessing the birth of a legend, a journey that would continue to unfold in the years to come. The excitement was infectious, and for those who had the privilege of watching, it was a reminder of the magic that motorsport can bring. As the sun set on each race day, there was a sense of anticipation for what was next, for what new heights Verstappen and Red Bull Racing would reach together. It was a thrilling time, and the world was ready to see how this young driver would continue to shape the future of Formula One. The 2017 season was a pivotal year for Red Bull Racing, marked by a mix of technical challenges and moments of sheer brilliance that kept fans on the edge of their seats. As the season unfolded, Red Bull found themselves in a fierce battle, not just with their rivals but also with the intricacies of their own car. The engineers worked tirelessly to unravel the complexities of the RB13 chassis, which, while showing promise, also had its fair share of teething problems. The team faced issues with reliability and performance, particularly in the early races, which set the stage for a competitive yet tumultuous journey. As the season kicked off in Australia, there was a sense of anticipation surrounding the team. Max Verstappen, who had burst onto the scene the previous year as the youngest winner in Formula One history, was now a seasoned driver with a year of experience under his belt. His teammate Daniel Ricciardo was also looking to reclaim his position as a frontrunner after a challenging 2016. However, the season opener did not go as planned for Red Bull. The car struggled for pace, and both drivers found themselves unable to compete with the lightning-fast Mercedes and the resurging Ferrari. It was a tough start, but the team remained optimistic, knowing that the season was long and full of potential. As the races continued, Red Bull began to find their footing. The team's engineers diligently worked to address the issues that plagued the RB13. By the time they reached the European leg of the season, there were glimmers of hope. In Spain, during the race at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya, Verstappen showcased his incredible talent once again. He drove a stunning race, taking advantage of a late collision between his rivals and securing his first victory of the season. It was a moment that reignited the spirit within the team and reminded everyone of Verstappen's skill and determination. Ricciardo finished in a commendable fourth place, showing that the team was beginning to catch up with the frontrunners. However, the battle was not just against the clock and the cars on the track, it was also against the formidable duo of Mercedes and Ferrari. The rivalry was fierce, with Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel exchanging victories and setting the stage for an exciting championship battle. Red Bull found themselves somewhat in the shadow of these two teams, but they were not to be underestimated. With each passing race, Verstappen and Ricciardo began to chip away at the gap, showing that their car had the potential to compete at the highest level. As the season progressed, Ricciardo's consistency became a highlight for Red Bull. He secured several podium finishes, showcasing his ability to navigate the tumultuous races and capitalize on the misfortunes of others. His tenacity and skill made him a fan favorite, and his cheerful demeanor brought a sense of camaraderie to the team. Meanwhile, Verstappen continued to push the limits of what was possible with the RB13. His daring overtakes and fearless driving style captivated audiences, and it was clear that he was a force to be reckoned with. One of the most memorable moments of the season came during the race in Azerbaijan. The chaotic nature of the event allowed Verstappen and Ricciardo to shine. In a spectacular twist, both Red Bull drivers were in contention for the win, only for their hopes to be dashed when they collided with each other while battling for position. It was a heart-wrenching moment for the team, as they had worked so hard to reach the front. However, this incident also highlighted the fierce competitive spirit within the team. They were not just teammates, they were rivals on the track, each pushing the other to perform at their best. Despite the setbacks, Verstappen rebounded beautifully in the latter part of the season. He secured impressive victories in Malaysia and Japan, showcasing not only his talent, but also the improvements made to the car. The team's hard work was paying off, and the late-season wins were a testament to their resilience. The atmosphere within the garage was electric, with each victory bringing a renewed sense of hope and excitement for the future. Ricciardo, too, was a force, consistently finishing on the podium and proving to be a reliable partner for Verstappen as they battled the likes of Hamilton and Vettel. As the season drew to a close, Red Bull Racing found themselves in a strong position, having closed the gap to the top teams. The battles on the track were fierce, and the rivalry with Mercedes and Ferrari was at an all-time high. Each race became a showcase of skill, strategy, and determination. The team had transformed their early season struggles into a series of triumphs, and the sense of camaraderie among the drivers and the entire team had never been stronger. Looking back on the 2017 season, it was a year of challenges and triumphs for Red Bull Racing. They faced technical setbacks, but rose to the occasion with remarkable resilience. Verstappen's late-season wins and Ricciardo's podium finishes were not just numbers on a scoreboard. They were moments that defined the spirit of the team. As they looked towards the future, the foundation laid in 2017 would serve as a stepping stone for the challenges and victories that lay ahead. The rivalry with Mercedes and Ferrari continued to fuel their passion, and the bond between Verstappen and Ricciardo became a hallmark of their journey together. It was a season that would be remembered not just for the races won or lost, but for the heart and determination displayed by everyone at Red Bull Racing. In the year 2018, Red Bull Racing found itself at a crossroads, facing a swirl of emotions and dynamics that were both exciting and challenging. The season was marked by high-stakes racing and a palpable tension between teammates, as well as the bittersweet farewell of one of their star drivers, Daniel Ricciardo. It was a year that would ultimately redefine the team's identity and set the stage for a new era in Formula One. As the season began, the atmosphere within the team was electric, but there was also an undercurrent of uncertainty. Ricciardo, who had become a fan favorite with his charismatic personality and dazzling driving skills, announced that he would be leaving Red Bull Racing at the end of the season to join Renault. This news sent shockwaves through the paddock. Ricciardo had been with Red Bull for several years and had contributed significantly to the team's success. His departure was not just a personal decision, it signified a shift in the team's dynamics, as well as a pivotal moment in the ongoing rivalry with Mercedes and Ferrari. In the early races of the season, Ricciardo's heart seemed to be in two places. While he was determined to give his best for the team, the knowledge that he would be leaving created a bittersweet atmosphere. The Monaco Grand Prix, held in May, was a prime example of the mixed emotions that surrounded him. Monaco, with its glamorous backdrop and challenging street circuit, had always been a special race for Ricciardo. In 2016, he had finished on the podium there, and winning this race was a dream he had long cherished. In 2018, Ricciardo showcased his incredible skill, qualifying in the front row and putting himself in a strong position. The race began with typical Monaco drama, the narrow streets creating a tight battle. Ricciardo managed to maintain his lead, displaying remarkable control and precision. However, it wasn't without its challenges. Throughout the race, there were whispers of potential reliability issues with his car, but Ricciardo remained focused, channeling all his energy into maintaining that crucial lead. When the checkered flag finally waved, Ricciardo crossed the finish line first, a moment of pure joy for him and the team. The victory was a testament to his talent and determination, but it also carried a tinge of sadness, knowing it would be one of his last moments of triumph with Red Bull Racing. The celebrations were heartfelt, yet they carried an air of nostalgia, as team members and fans alike realized they were witnessing a significant chapter closing. Meanwhile, Max Verstappen was growing into his role as a leading driver within the team. The young Dutchman had shown flashes of brilliance since joining Red Bull, and in 2018, he began to truly shine. The pressure on Verstappen was immense. He was not just Ricciardo's teammate, but also the new face of Red Bull Racing, expected to carry the torch for the future. As Ricciardo's farewell loomed, Verstappen was determined to establish himself as a formidable force in the championship. One of the defining moments of Verstappen's season came at the Austrian Grand Prix, held in early July. The race unfolded with exhilarating intensity, and it became a highlight not just for Verstappen, but for the entire team. Starting from second on the grid, he was in a prime position to challenge for victory. The atmosphere was electric, with fans lining the track, all eager to see if Verstappen could secure a win in front of a supportive home crowd. As the race progressed, Verstappen found himself locked in a fierce battle with Charles Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel, both of whom were driving for Ferrari. The tension was palpable as the three drivers fought for position, showcasing their skills in a series of breathtaking maneuvers. Verstappen's racecraft was on full display as he deftly navigated the twists and turns of the Red Bull Ring. In a dramatic finale, Verstappen executed a daring maneuver on the final lap, overtaking both Leclerc and Vettel to take the lead and secure victory. The roar of the crowd was deafening as he crossed the finish line, marking a pivotal moment in his career. This win was not just a personal triumph, it was a statement to the world that Verstappen was ready to take on the best in Formula One. The joy of victory was infectious, and it felt like a turning point for Red Bull Racing, a glimpse into a bright future. As the season continued, it became clear that the tension between Ricciardo and Verstappen was palpable. The two drivers, once allies, were now in direct competition for the same goals. While they shared a mutual respect for each other's talents, the underlying rivalry added a layer of complexity to their relationship. Ricciardo's departure loomed large, and Verstappen was keenly aware of the expectations placed upon him as the new lead driver. The Belgian Grand Prix at Spa-Francorchamps in late August served as another dramatic chapter in the season. The iconic track is known for its unpredictable weather, and the 2018 race was no exception. As the rain fell, it created a challenging environment that would test the skill of every driver on the grid. Ricciardo and Verstappen found themselves in a fierce battle once more, showcasing the depth of talent within the team. The race was filled with twists and turns, with Ricciardo showcasing his trademark late-braking skills, while Verstappen demonstrated his fearless approach to overtaking. The tension between them was palpable, but there was also a sense of camaraderie that lingered beneath the surface. Each driver was pushing the other to their limits, and the competition was fierce yet respectful. Ultimately, the race ended in heartbreak for Ricciardo, as he suffered an engine failure that forced him to retire. Verstappen, however, capitalized on the chaos around him, finishing on the podium and further solidifying his reputation as a rising star. The emotions were mixed, as the team celebrated Verstappen's success while mourning the loss of Ricciardo's potential points. The bittersweet nature of the race encapsulated the season perfectly, a balance of triumph and disappointment. As the season drew to a close, the tension within the team seemed to settle into a rhythm. Ricciardo continued to perform admirably, delivering strong finishes and showcasing his talent in the remaining races. However, the knowledge that he was leaving Red Bull Racing hung in the air like a cloud. He and Verstappen continued to push each other, and while there were moments of friction, there was also a realization that they were part of something special. The final races of the season were an emotional roller coaster. Ricciardo's farewell tour became a series of poignant moments as he reflected on his time with the team. The Brazilian Grand Prix in November was particularly significant, as it was the last race of the season and Ricciardo's final outing for Red Bull. Emotions ran high, and the atmosphere was charged with nostalgia. The race itself had its share of drama, with Ricciardo fighting fiercely until the end, a fitting tribute to his time with the team. Verstappen, now fully embraced as the team leader, continued to show his talent and determination. As the checkered flag waved for the final time that season, Ricciardo and Verstappen shared a moment of mutual respect, acknowledging the journey they had taken together. It was a bittersweet ending, but also a new beginning for Verstappen, who was ready to carry the mantle forward. In those final moments of the 2018 season, Red Bull Racing stood at the precipice of change. The departure of Ricciardo marked the end of an era, but it also opened the door for Verstappen to step into the limelight. As the team reflected on the highs and lows of the season, it was clear that the bonds formed during this tumultuous year would shape the future of Red Bull Racing for years to come. In the year 2019, Red Bull Racing embarked on a new and exciting chapter in their storied history, one that saw them form a partnership with Honda engines. This decision was not just a technical shift, it was a leap of faith, a bold move that would reignite the team's competitive spirit after several challenging seasons. The previous years had seen Red Bull struggle to keep pace with the dominant Mercedes team, and there was a palpable sense of urgency to reclaim their position at the top of the Formula One world. As the season unfolded, one of the most thrilling aspects was the emergence of Max Verstappen, the young Dutch driver who had quickly become a beacon of hope for the team. Verstappen, known for his fearless driving and remarkable racecraft, had already made waves in the sport, but the 2019 season would see him take his performance to new heights. With the Honda power unit, Verstappen's confidence blossomed, and he began to showcase his talent in ways that left fans and critics alike in awe. The season kicked off in Melbourne, Australia, where the atmosphere was electric. The anticipation surrounding the new Honda engine was palpable, with everyone eager to see how it would perform. From the very first race, it became clear that there was something different about the Red Bull car. The Honda engine not only delivered power, but also showed signs of improved reliability, which had been a significant concern in previous seasons. As the lights went out, Verstappen made a strong start, quickly moving up the grid and showcasing the raw speed that would become a hallmark of his driving style throughout the season. As the races progressed, Verstappen's performances became a source of excitement. One of the standout moments came at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya during the Spanish Grand Prix. With a commanding performance, he took the victory in a race that highlighted the effectiveness of the Honda engine. The team had made strides in their understanding of the power unit, and this success was a clear indication that the partnership was beginning to bear fruit. The way Verstappen controlled the race was a testament to his growing maturity as a driver, and it was a clear signal to the rest of the grid that Red Bull Racing was back in contention. What made the partnership with Honda particularly remarkable was the rapid development that occurred throughout the season. As the team and the engine manufacturer worked closely together, Honda made significant strides in reliability and performance. The engineers at Honda were dedicated, pouring countless hours into refining their power units, and it showed on the track. This newfound reliability allowed Verstappen to race with confidence, knowing that he had the machinery beneath him to compete at the highest level. The British Grand Prix at Silverstone was another highlight of the season. In what many consider one of the most challenging circuits on the calendar, Verstappen showcased not only speed but also an impressive tactical mind. The race unfolded with drama, and as the laps ticked by, it became clear that Verstappen had the potential to secure another win. With strategic tyre management and a keen understanding of the race dynamics, he navigated through the field, ultimately taking the victory in a thrilling battle. This win was celebrated not just for the points it brought, but for the spirit it embodied, the resurgence of Red Bull Racing and their determination to challenge the established order. As the season continued, the rivalry with Mercedes became increasingly intense. Lewis Hamilton, driving for Mercedes, was the reigning champion and had set a high bar for performance. However, Verstappen's strong finishes and the resilience of the Honda engine began to chip away at Mercedes' dominance. The tension between the two teams was palpable, and each race felt like a high-stakes chess match, with both sides strategizing and countering each other's moves. The 2019 season also saw the emergence of a fierce rivalry between Verstappen and his then-teammate Pierre Gasly. Gasly, a talented driver in his own right, was eager to prove himself, but struggled to match Verstappen's pace consistently. This dynamic added an intriguing layer to the team's internal competition. While Verstappen was on a trajectory toward the front of the grid, Gasly was working hard to find his footing, and the team was hopeful that both drivers could bring home valuable points. In the latter half of the season, the partnership with Honda continued to pay dividends. The Belgian Grand Prix at Spa-Francorchamps was a pivotal moment for Red Bull Racing. The race began under cloudy skies, and as the cars lined up on the grid, anticipation hung thick in the air. Verstappen, known for his skill in wet conditions, seized the opportunity to showcase his abilities. He executed an incredible start and quickly moved up the field, demonstrating the sheer power of the Honda engine as he overtook rival drivers with ease. The victory at Spa was not just a win, it was a statement. Red Bull Racing was back, and they were ready to challenge for more. As the season drew to a close, the Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka held special significance. This race was particularly meaningful for Honda, as it was their home Grand Prix. The atmosphere was electric, with passionate fans filling the stands, waving flags and cheering for their team. Verstappen, fully aware of the importance of this event, delivered a stellar performance. He managed to fend off challenges from his rivals, securing another victory that sent the fans into a frenzy. The sight of the Red Bull car crossing the finish line first, adorned with the Honda logo, was a culmination of hard work, determination, and a shared dream of returning to the top. The season wrapped up with the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, where Red Bull Racing showcased the progress they had made throughout the year. Verstappen's consistency and the reliability of the Honda engine had transformed the team's fortunes. As the drivers took their final laps of the season, there was a sense of pride in the air. The partnership between Red Bull and Honda had not only restored hope, but had also set the stage for a promising future. The 2019 season was a turning point, a reminder that with resilience and collaboration, even the most daunting challenges could be overcome. In the end, the 2019 season was more than just a series of races. It was a story of redemption, a narrative of how a team, once struggling, could rise again through innovation, teamwork, and the unyielding spirit of a young driver. Red Bull Racing's partnership with Honda became a beacon of hope, reigniting the passion of their fans and setting the stage for the battles that lay ahead. The road to the top was still long, but with each victory, they were reminded that the journey was just as important as the destination. As the sun began to set on the horizon of 2020, the world found itself grappling with a pandemic that reshaped many aspects of life, including the high-octane world of Formula One racing. The season was unlike any other, as teams adjusted to a calendar that had been dramatically shortened due to COVID-19. Amidst this chaos, Red Bull Racing stood at the ready, determined to close the gap to the dominant Mercedes team, while navigating the unique challenges that this unpredictable year presented. Max Verstappen, the young Dutch prodigy, who had quickly made a name for himself, became the focal point of Red Bull's ambitions. With his aggressive driving style and keen sense of racecraft, he was more than just a driver. He was a beacon of hope for the team. As the season commenced, it became clear that Verstappen's consistency would play a pivotal role in Red Bull's pursuit of success. The first race, held in Austria at the Red Bull Ring, was a fitting start to a season that was anything but ordinary. The thrilling atmosphere of the track, with its lush green hills and enthusiastic fans, felt like a distant memory, but the thrill of racing remained. In that opening race, Verstappen showcased his prowess by finishing second, just behind the Mercedes of Valtteri Bottas. It was a promising start, and the team felt invigorated. The performance was a clear indication that Red Bull Racing was in the mix, ready to challenge the silver arrows of Mercedes. However, it was not just Verstappen's driving that caught the eye. It was also the strategic decisions made by the team that helped them maximize their potential in this altered landscape. The absence of pre-season testing meant that teams had to adapt quickly, and Red Bull, with its experienced personnel, rose to the occasion. As the season continued, each race unfolded like a chapter in a gripping novel. The Hungarian Grand Prix was particularly memorable, as Verstappen clinched victory in a race that tested the limits of drivers and teams alike. It was a race marked by strategy and skill, showcasing Red Bull's ability to capitalize on the misfortunes of their rivals. Mercedes had a rare off day, and Verstappen seized the opportunity, demonstrating not just speed but also the kind of consistency that would become his hallmark throughout the season. Yet even with these successes, the shadow of Mercedes loomed large. Lewis Hamilton, the seven-time world champion, continued to dominate the season, and his partnership with Bottas created a formidable challenge for Red Bull. Hamilton's ability to extract performance from his car, especially in the face of adversity, was a lesson that Red Bull closely observed. It was not just about having a fast car, it was about maximizing every opportunity on the track. The competition was fierce, and Red Bull knew that to close the gap, they needed to be perfect. The 2020 season also brought its share of unpredictability, a characteristic that seemed to define the year as a whole. Races were held without fans, and the atmosphere felt different. The iconic sounds of cheering crowds were replaced by the echo of engines and the intense focus of the teams. Red Bull, however, adapted to this new normal, and their resilience was evident. The team's engineers and strategists worked tirelessly, often late into the night, analyzing data and exploring ways to improve their performance. One of the standout moments of the season came during the British Grand Prix, where Verstappen finished in second place just behind Hamilton. The race was dramatic, with Hamilton suffering a tyre puncture on the final lap, which added an unexpected twist to the narrative. Verstappen, ever the opportunist, was ready to seize the moment, but Hamilton's experience and skill ensured that he crossed the finish line first. It was a bittersweet moment for Red Bull, a reminder that while they were close, the battle for supremacy was still very much alive. As the season progressed, the challenges of 2020 continued to unfold. With races being held at various circuits, including the iconic Silverstone and the twisting streets of Barcelona, each venue presented its own set of challenges. Red Bull's ability to adapt to different tracks was commendable. Verstappen's performance in Spain was particularly noteworthy, as he displayed an exceptional understanding of tyre management and race strategy, finishing in second place once again. His consistency became a defining feature of his season, often finishing on the podium and collecting valuable points for the championship. The 2020 season was not just about the races, it was also about the people behind the scenes. The dedication of the Red Bull racing team, from the engineers to the mechanics, was palpable. They worked tirelessly to ensure that the car was competitive, making incremental improvements that would ultimately contribute to their success. Team principal Christian Horner played a crucial role in maintaining morale and focus, guiding the team through the unpredictable waters of the season with a steady hand. As autumn approached and the season began to wind down, the races continued to be fiercely contested. The Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix at Imola brought a dramatic twist, with Verstappen finishing in a solid second place, yet again showcasing his reliability. This race was marked by unpredictable weather conditions and several incidents, but Verstappen navigated the chaos with remarkable composure. His ability to remain calm under pressure was a testament to his growth as a driver and a key aspect of Red Bull's success during this challenging year. Throughout the season, the rivalry with Mercedes intensified. The two teams pushed each other to their limits, and the battle for supremacy defined the championship narrative. Each race was a chess match, with both teams strategizing, not just for victory, but also for the long game. Verstappen's consistency was crucial in keeping Red Bull in the hunt, allowing them to maintain a competitive edge in the constructors' standings. As the season drew to a close, the Turkish Grand Prix offered a surprising twist. The challenging track conditions led to an unexpected victory for Verstappen, a result that encapsulated the essence of the 2020 season. It was a race that required not just skill, but also a deep understanding of the car and the track. Red Bull's strategic choices paid off, and Verstappen's performance was a reminder of his immense talent and potential. In the end, 2020 was a year of adaptation and resilience for Red Bull Racing. The team faced the challenges of a pandemic-stricken world with determination and grit. Verstappen emerged as a consistent performer, showcasing his ability to not only compete, but also thrive under pressure. The rivalry with Mercedes pushed Red Bull to innovate and improve, laying the groundwork for future battles. As we reflect on the season, it becomes clear that it was more than just a series of races. It was a testament to the spirit of motorsport, a celebration of perseverance, and a reminder that even in the face of uncertainty, there is always a path forward. The journey of Red Bull Racing in 2020 was one of growth, learning, and the relentless pursuit of excellence. As the sun began to rise on the Formula One season in 2021, there was a palpable sense of excitement in the air, especially around Red Bull Racing. After years of being in the shadows of Mercedes, the team was ready to mount a serious challenge for the championship. This was a season that promised to be different, filled with anticipation and the thrill of competition. The first race in Bahrain marked the beginning of a new era. Max Verstappen, the young Dutch prodigy, was at the wheel, and his talent was undeniable. He had already proven himself in previous seasons, but this year felt different. It felt like he was ready to take the fight directly to Lewis Hamilton, the seven-time world champion who had dominated the sport for so long. In that opening race, the battle was fierce. Verstappen and Hamilton exchanged positions multiple times, showcasing their skills and determination. The tension was palpable, and fans were on the edge of their seats. Ultimately, Verstappen crossed the line first, but a last-minute penalty for exceeding track limits meant that Hamilton was declared the winner. Despite the disappointment, Red Bull's performance was a clear indication that they were not there to play second fiddle anymore. The team was buzzing with energy, and the confidence was infectious. As the season progressed, the next race in Italy brought further hope for Red Bull. The Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix was a showcase of Verstappen's prowess. He started from pole position and drove a flawless race, demonstrating not just speed but also strategic thinking. This time, there were no penalties to dampen their spirits. He took victory in a commanding fashion, leaving Hamilton and the Mercedes team scrambling to catch up. The joy within the Red Bull camp was palpable. It felt like the tide was turning. The momentum was shifting, and the stakes were rising with every passing race. In the following weeks, the pressure mounted. Each race felt like a chess match, with both teams trying to outsmart each other. The Portuguese Grand Prix was another chapter in this unfolding drama. Verstappen once again showcased his skill, finishing second behind Hamilton, but it was clear that Red Bull was now in the mix. The rivalry had intensified, and every move was scrutinized. The media buzzed with excitement, and fans were divided, each camp rallying behind their favorite driver. It was a thrilling time to be a Formula One fan, and Red Bull was at the center of it all. As the season approached its midpoint, the Spanish Grand Prix would serve as a crucial turning point. Verstappen and Hamilton found themselves in a battle that would be remembered for years to come. Both drivers pushed their limits, and the tension was thick in the air. Hamilton initially took the lead, but Verstappen, ever the fighter, made a daring move to reclaim his position. It was a stunning display of skill and bravery, and it sent a clear message: Red Bull was here to win. The victory not only solidified Verstappen's status as a top contender, but also lifted the entire team's spirits. However, with great success comes great pressure. The rivalry between Verstappen and Hamilton was not just about racing, it was personal. Each driver was fueled by a desire to prove themselves, not just to their teams but also to the world. The media spotlight intensified, and every mistake was magnified. The scrutiny was relentless, and both drivers felt the weight of expectation. As they approached the Monaco Grand Prix, the stakes had never been higher. The streets of Monaco are notoriously unforgiving, and the pressure was on both teams to deliver. In Monaco, Verstappen's skill shone through once again. He secured pole position with a blistering lap, and the team's confidence was soaring. On race day, he executed a perfect start and maintained his lead throughout, winning in one of the most prestigious races on the calendar. The joy in the Red Bull garage was electric. They had done it. They had beaten Mercedes in a race that was steeped in history and glamour. This victory was not just another win, it was a statement. Red Bull Racing was officially in the championship fight, and they were not backing down. As the season progressed into June, the French Grand Prix posed another challenge. The pressure was mounting, and the rivalry had reached a boiling point. The race was filled with drama and tension, and it was clear that both Verstappen and Hamilton were willing to do whatever it took to come out on top. In a stunning display of skill, Verstappen took the lead, but a late race incident caused chaos. Hamilton seized the opportunity and managed to clinch the victory, sending ripples of disappointment through the Red Bull camp. It was a tough pill to swallow, but the team remained focused on their goal. The Austrian Grand Prix, held at Red Bull Ring, would be the next opportunity for the team to shine in front of their home crowd. The atmosphere was electric, with fans cheering and waving flags, creating a sea of blue and red. Verstappen once again rose to the occasion, dominating the race from start to finish. It was a triumphant return to form, and the team celebrated as if they had won the championship itself. The momentum had shifted back in their favor, and the confidence within the team was palpable. They were now fully aware that they had the pace and the talent to challenge Mercedes for the title. As they approached the summer break, the battle between Verstappen and Hamilton was far from over. Each race felt like a turning point, and the tension was thick. The pressure to perform was immense, but Red Bull had proven that they could rise to the occasion. The first half of the season had been a roller coaster of emotions, filled with thrilling victories and heartbreaking defeats. But through it all, one thing was clear: Red Bull Racing was no longer just a team. They were a formidable force in the world of Formula One, ready to take on whatever challenges lay ahead. The fight was on, and the second half of the season promised to be even more exhilarating. In the middle stretch of 2021, Red Bull Racing found itself at the heart of a breathtaking and intense battle for the Formula One World Championship. The rivalry with Mercedes was fierce, and the tension escalated with each race. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation, and the stakes were higher than ever. It was a season that would be remembered, not just for the thrilling performances on the track, but for the dramatic moments that unfolded, particularly during the races at Silverstone and Monza. These events became pivotal points in the championship narrative, showcasing not only the skill of the drivers, but also the psychological tactics at play between the two teams. The British Grand Prix at Silverstone was one of those races that would be talked about for years to come. The sun shone brightly on the iconic circuit, and fans filled the grandstands, buzzing with excitement. Lewis Hamilton, driving for Mercedes, had the home advantage, while Max Verstappen, representing Red Bull, was determined to extend his championship lead. The atmosphere was electric, and you could feel the tension radiating from the teams as they prepared for battle. As the race unfolded, it quickly became clear that this was not just another competition. It was a clash of titans. The two drivers exchanged positions, their skill and determination on full display. But as they approached the first lap's conclusion, a dramatic moment occurred. Hamilton and Verstappen went wheel to wheel, and in an instant, everything changed. The two cars collided at Copse, one of the fastest corners on the circuit. It was a heart-stopping moment, as Verstappen's car was sent crashing into the barriers at high speed. The impact was severe, and the silence that followed was deafening. In the moments that followed, the focus shifted from the race to the well-being of the drivers. Thankfully, Verstappen emerged from the wreckage unharmed, but the psychological toll of the incident would linger. The collision ignited a firestorm of debate and discussion. Fans and pundits alike were divided. Some blamed Hamilton for the incident, arguing that he had been overly aggressive in his attempt to overtake, while others pointed fingers at Verstappen for not giving enough room. The media frenzy that ensued only heightened the tension between the two camps. Red Bull's team principal, Christian Horner, expressed his outrage, calling it a disgraceful move by Hamilton, while Mercedes defended their driver, insisting that it was a racing incident. This clash at Silverstone was not just about the physical impact on the cars. It was a psychological battle, a game of chess played at high speed. The incident fueled the rivalry, intensifying the already fierce competition between the two teams. Hamilton's victory at Silverstone, aided by a 10-second time penalty for the collision, only added to the drama. It was a bittersweet moment for Red Bull, who had seen their championship lead slip away. The psychological edge seemed to sway in favor of Mercedes, at least for the moment. As the season progressed, the tension did not dissipate. Instead, it simmered, waiting for the next opportunity to boil over. That opportunity came just weeks later at Monza, during the Italian Grand Prix. The atmosphere was charged again, with fans eager to see how the rivalry would unfold. Monza is known as the Temple of Speed, and both teams were hungry for victory. The stakes were high, and the pressure was palpable. As the race unfolded, it became clear that the battle between Hamilton and Verstappen was far from over. The two drivers found themselves in close quarters once again, this time in a dramatic turn of events that would send shockwaves through the paddock. As the race approached its climax, both drivers were vying for the same piece of real estate on the track. The tension was thick as they raced side by side, each driver determined to assert their dominance. Then, in a moment that felt all too familiar, disaster struck. As they entered the first chicane, the two cars collided once more. This time it was Verstappen who found himself in a precarious position, with Hamilton's car making contact with his rear tire. The result was catastrophic for both drivers, as they were forced to retire from the race. The sight of both Red Bull and Mercedes cars stranded on the sidelines sent shockwaves through the crowd, and the drama reached its peak. In the aftermath of the collision, the psychological warfare continued. The media was ablaze with speculation and opinions, with each team taking turns to defend their drivers. Red Bull's Horner was once again vocal, emphasizing the need for more accountability when it came to racing incidents. Hamilton, on the other hand, remained composed, focusing on the championship and the races ahead. The rivalry had reached a boiling point, and the psychological edge seemed to ebb and flow between the two teams like a tide. What made this rivalry particularly fascinating was the interplay between the drivers and their teams. Both Verstappen and Hamilton were at the pinnacle of their careers, and their competitiveness pushed each other to new heights. The support from their respective teams played a crucial role in shaping their performances, and the dynamic between the drivers and their teams was palpable. Red Bull's approach was aggressive and bold, reflecting Verstappen's own style, while Mercedes maintained a more calculated and strategic approach, mirroring Hamilton's experience and finesse. As the season continued, the events at Silverstone and Monza loomed large in the minds of both drivers. The psychological impact of those moments would linger, influencing their decisions and strategies in the races that followed. Each team was acutely aware of the other's strengths and weaknesses, and the mind games became a critical component of the championship battle. The rivalry between Red Bull Racing and Mercedes reached new heights in the following races. The tension was almost tangible, with each race feeling like a continuation of the saga that had begun at Silverstone. The psychological edge shifted back and forth, with both teams trying to outsmart one another. The media coverage only added fuel to the fire, with headlines speculating on the mindset of both drivers and the strategies their teams would employ. In the end, the middle stretch of 2021 was marked by more than just the physical battles on the track. It was a clash of wills, a psychological duel that shaped the very essence of the championship fight. Red Bull Racing and Mercedes were locked in a fierce rivalry, and the events at Silverstone and Monza became defining moments in that narrative. Each collision, each victory, each moment of tension added layers to the story, drawing fans deeper into the drama of the season. As the championship continued, the focus would remain on the drivers and their teams, but the echoes of Silverstone and Monza would linger in the background, a reminder of the fierce rivalry that had captured the hearts of motorsport fans around the world. The psychological edge, with its ebb and flow, would continue to play a significant role as both teams pushed toward the finish line, each determined to claim the ultimate prize. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi, the atmosphere was thick with anticipation and tension. It was December 12, 2021, and the world was holding its breath for the final race of the Formula One season. Red Bull Racing had found themselves in a fierce battle against Mercedes, and at the center of it all was Max Verstappen, a young driver who had quickly become a force to be reckoned with. This race was not just about the championship. It was about legacy, ambition, and a relentless drive to win. As the cars lined up on the grid, it was evident that this was no ordinary race. Both drivers, Max Verstappen for Red Bull and Lewis Hamilton for Mercedes, were tied in points, a situation that had not occurred in decades. The tension was palpable, and the stakes could not have been higher. The engines roared to life, and with the lights out, they were off. From the very beginning, it was a tactical duel, with each driver pushing their limits, trading places, and testing each other's mettle. Max, known for his fearless driving style, was focused and determined, while Lewis, a seasoned champion, was equally resolute. As the laps unfolded, the race took on a rhythm of its own. Max and Lewis exchanged leads, with both teams employing clever strategies to outmaneuver one another. The crowd was treated to a display of sheer skill and determination, as the two drivers fought for every inch on the track. Red Bull's pit crew was on point, executing flawless stops that allowed Max to maintain pressure on Lewis, who was equally supported by the well-oiled machine of Mercedes. But then, just as the race seemed to settle into a predictable pattern, the unexpected happened. A crash brought out the safety car, and the race dynamics shifted dramatically. It was in the closing laps that Nicholas Latifi, driving for Williams, lost control and crashed into the barriers, prompting the deployment of the safety car. The timing of the incident was crucial, and it sent shockwaves through the paddock. For Red Bull Racing, this was a pivotal moment. The safety car bunched up the field, allowing Max to close the gap to Lewis, who had been leading comfortably. As the safety car lights went out, the tension escalated. Red Bull made a bold decision to pit Max for fresh tires, an aggressive move that would put him in a position to challenge Lewis once the race resumed. Meanwhile, Mercedes opted to keep Lewis out on track, believing that track position was vital to secure the championship. It was a classic example of a gamble that could either pay off handsomely or backfire spectacularly. When the safety car finally peeled off, the race was back on, and the atmosphere was electric. Max, now on newer tires, had a significant advantage. As they approached the final laps, the anticipation was almost unbearable, not just for the teams but for fans around the world. The tension was thick, and you could feel the weight of history hanging in the air. Max's heart raced as he readied himself to make his move. On the penultimate lap, Max found himself right on Lewis's tail. The two drivers were engaged in a fierce battle, and the stakes could not have been higher. With a combination of skill and timing, Max made his move, diving down the inside of Lewis at turn 5. It was a bold maneuver that would define the race. Lewis fought back valiantly, but Max, with his fresh tires, had the grip and speed to pull ahead. As they navigated the tight corners of Yas Marina, the crowd erupted in cheers, a mix of jubilation and disbelief as they witnessed this moment unfold. Then came the final lap, and it was a scene that would be etched in the annals of motorsport history. Max Verstappen, now in the lead, was driving with unyielding determination. The adrenaline coursed through him as he navigated the final corners, knowing that the championship was within his grasp. Behind him, Lewis was not giving up without a fight, but the gap was widening. As Max crossed the finish line, the roar of the crowd was deafening. He had done it. Red Bull Racing had secured the championship in a manner that would be debated for years to come. The emotions were overwhelming. Joy, relief, and disbelief washed over the team. For Max, it was the culmination of years of hard work, dedication, and relentless pursuit of excellence. He had not only won the race, but had also solidified his place in Formula One history. But the aftermath was just as intense as the race itself. Controversy erupted almost immediately, with discussions centering on the decisions made by race control during the safety car period. Mercedes lodged protests, claiming that the rules had not been followed correctly. The debate raged on, with opinions divided on whether the race had been won fairly or not. For Red Bull Racing, however, the focus was on the achievement. They had fought tooth and nail against a formidable opponent, and in that moment it felt like they had reached the pinnacle of success. Max's victory was not just a personal triumph, it was a testament to the hard work and dedication of everyone at Red Bull Racing. The engineers, mechanics, strategists, and the entire team had poured their hearts and souls into this season. They had faced challenges, setbacks, and fierce competition, but they had emerged victorious. It was a reminder that in motorsport, as in life, perseverance and teamwork are key to overcoming obstacles. As the celebrations began, it was clear that this moment would forever be a part of Red Bull Racing's legacy. The team had transformed from underdogs to champions, and they had done it with a spirit that embodied the very essence of racing. Max's triumph was a reflection of that spirit, a blend of talent, courage, and the unwavering belief that anything is possible. In the days that followed, the conversations continued, and the debates raged on, but for Red Bull Racing, the focus remained on the future. They knew that this victory was just the beginning of a new chapter, and they were ready to embrace whatever challenges lay ahead. The world of Formula One is ever evolving, and the competition is fierce, but with their newfound championship title, Red Bull Racing had established themselves as a formidable force. As the dust settled on that unforgettable race, it became clear that the legacy of the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix would be remembered not just for the controversy, but for the spirit of competition and the thrill of racing. For Max Verstappen and Red Bull Racing, it was a moment that would inspire generations to come, a reminder that in the world of motorsport, passion and determination can lead to extraordinary achievements. As the sun rose on the 22nd season of the 21st century, Red Bull Racing found themselves at a crossroads. The early races of the 2022 season were a tough pill to swallow. There were whispers in the paddock, questions about whether the team could maintain their previous dominance. The car, known as the RB18, had its share of teething problems, particularly with reliability. But within the heart of the team, there was a quiet determination. They had faced challenges before, and the spirit of Red Bull Racing was not one to back down easily. The RB18 was a product of meticulous engineering and bold design choices. The team, led by the ever-passionate Christian Horner, had a vision for this car that went beyond just speed. They wanted to blend aerodynamics, stability and performance into a single package. The design process had been intense, with the engineers poring over every detail to ensure they could deliver a machine that could compete at the highest level. However, as the first few races unfolded, it became clear that the RB18 was not quite ready to shine. The car struggled with porpoising, a phenomenon where the car would bounce down the straights, robbing it of precious speed and grip. But then, like the first rays of dawn breaking through a dark night, the team began to make progress. The engineers worked tirelessly, analyzing data, conducting simulations, and making incremental changes to the setup. They were like artists, fine-tuning a masterpiece, knowing that every brushstroke mattered. And as they headed into the European leg of the season, the fruits of their labor began to show. The RB18 transformed, becoming more stable and responsive. The upgrades brought confidence back to the team, and the results started to reflect that newfound belief. One key figure in this resurgence was Max Verstappen. The young Dutch driver had already made a name for himself as a fierce competitor, but in 2022, he took it to another level. Verstappen was not just driving, he was orchestrating a symphony of speed, precision, and strategy. His consistency was remarkable. He had a way of reading races, sensing when to push and when to hold back. It was almost as if he could feel the rhythm of the track beneath him, allowing him to dance through corners and surge down straights with unparalleled confidence. As the team made strides with the RB18, Verstappen found himself in a position to capitalize on the improvements. He began to string together a series of impressive performances, showcasing not only his raw talent, but also his growing maturity as a driver. He was no longer just a young gun, he was emerging as a champion in the making. The way he navigated the twists and turns of the circuits was mesmerizing, and it was clear that he had developed an incredible rapport with his car. The connection between driver and machine is a delicate one, and Verstappen had cultivated it with care and precision. The battles on track were fierce, and rivals like Ferrari and Mercedes were not going to let Red Bull Racing have an easy ride. Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz from Ferrari were formidable opponents, each bringing their own unique style to the fight. Leclerc, with his aggressive yet calculated approach, pushed Verstappen to the limit. Meanwhile, Lewis Hamilton and George Russell from Mercedes were always lurking, ready to pounce on any mistake. The competition was fierce, but it only fueled Verstappen's desire to excel. As the races unfolded, the narrative began to shift. The RB18, once a source of frustration, became a weapon in Verstappen's hands. The team's hard work began to pay off, and they started to see the results on the scoreboard. The early struggles faded into the background as Red Bull Racing found their rhythm. Verstappen's confidence soared, and he became a master at extracting every ounce of performance from the car. One pivotal moment came during the race in Imola. It was a wet and challenging day, but Verstappen rose to the occasion, showcasing his exceptional skill in difficult conditions. He drove with a level of composure that belied his years, deftly navigating the slippery track and taking advantage of every opportunity that came his way. The victory not only solidified his standing in the championship, but also served as a statement to the rest of the grid that Red Bull Racing was back in the game. As the season progressed, the RB18 continued to evolve. The engineers at Red Bull Racing implemented a series of updates that enhanced the car's performance. Each race weekend brought new challenges, and the team adapted with remarkable agility. They were like a well-oiled machine, each member playing their part to perfection. The pit stops became quicker, the strategy calls sharper, and the communication smoother. It was a testament to the team's resilience and commitment to excellence. Verstappen, now riding a wave of momentum, showcased an impressive level of consistency. He began to rattle off wins, each one a building block in his quest for the championship. The way he managed the tires, conserved fuel, and executed overtakes was a masterclass in racing. He was not just a driver, he was a tactician, playing the long game while also seizing moments of brilliance when they arose. The rivalry with Ferrari intensified, and the tension added an electric atmosphere to each race. The battles between Verstappen and Leclerc were particularly captivating, each driver pushing the other to new heights. The sight of their cars darting through the corners, each one vying for position, was a thrilling spectacle. Fans around the world were treated to a show of skill and determination, and the stakes couldn't have been higher. As the season reached its halfway point, Red Bull Racing had well and truly found their footing. The RB18 was no longer just a car, it had become a formidable force on track. The team's hard work, dedication, and relentless pursuit of improvement had paid off, and they were now in a position to challenge for the championship. Verstappen's consistency was a key factor in this resurgence, and he had transformed from a promising talent into a true contender. But it wasn't just about the car or the driver. It was about the entire team working in harmony. The engineers, the mechanics, the strategists, and everyone involved were united in their goal. They had weathered the storm of early season struggles and emerged stronger, more determined, and more focused. The spirit of Red Bull Racing was alive and well, and they were ready to take on whatever challenges lay ahead. As the sun set on the first half of the 2022 season, the horizon was bright for Red Bull Racing. They had turned their early struggles into a narrative of resilience and triumph. The RB18 was now a symbol of their hard work, and Verstappen's consistency was the shining light leading them forward. The battles were far from over, but the team had proven that they could rise to the occasion. With each race, they were not just chasing points, they were chasing history. And as they looked ahead, there was a sense of excitement in the air, a feeling that the best was yet to come. As the sun set on the summer of 2022, the world of Formula One was about to witness a remarkable transformation. Red Bull Racing, a team that had already etched its name in the annals of motorsport history, was on the brink of something special. The second half of the season was marked by a sense of destiny, as the team, led by the prodigious Max Verstappen, began to dominate the field in a way that felt almost inevitable. Max Verstappen, with his fierce determination and undeniable talent, was enjoying a run of victories that seemed to defy the odds. The momentum he carried from the first half of the season only grew stronger as the calendar turned to August. It was as if he had tapped into something deeper, a wellspring of confidence that propelled him to new heights. Each race became a showcase of his skill, not just in speed but in racecraft, strategy, and an uncanny ability to read the unfolding drama on the track. Whether it was the tight corners of the Hungaroring or the high-speed straights of Spa, Verstappen's driving was a masterclass in control and precision. As the races unfolded, the competition began to dwindle. Rivals like Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton, who had once posed a significant threat, found themselves struggling to keep pace. Leclerc, driving for Scuderia Ferrari, started the season strong, but as the summer wore on, inconsistencies crept into his performances. Meanwhile, Hamilton, the seasoned champion from Mercedes, faced the daunting task of trying to rein in Verstappen's growing dominance. The Red Bull car, a marvel of engineering, seemed to have an edge in both speed and reliability, making it increasingly difficult for competitors to mount a serious challenge. One of the pivotal moments of the season came in September at the iconic Suzuka circuit in Japan. The atmosphere was electric, filled with the roar of engines and the cheers of passionate fans. It was here that Verstappen, with a combination of skill and strategic brilliance, would seal his second consecutive World Championship title. The race began with a mix of anticipation and tension, as rain threatened to disrupt the proceedings. But Verstappen, ever the tactician, navigated the treacherous conditions with an ease that belied the challenges before him. As the race unfolded, Verstappen quickly established his dominance, pulling away from the field with each passing lap. The Red Bull car, with its finely tuned aerodynamics and powerful engine, glided through the wet track as if it were designed for such conditions. His teammate, Sergio Perez, also performed admirably, showcasing the strength of Red Bull's team dynamic. The camaraderie between the two drivers was palpable, each one pushing the other to greater heights while also working in unison to secure valuable points for the team. By the time the checkered flag waved, the moment was bittersweet, yet exhilarating. Verstappen crossed the line, and the reality of his achievement washed over him. He was not just a champion, he was carving out a legacy that would be remembered for generations. As he celebrated with his team, the faces of engineers, mechanics and support staff lit up with joy and relief. They had all played their part in this journey, each contributing to the success of Red Bull racing. The post-race atmosphere was charged with emotion. Verstappen, holding the championship trophy aloft, was met with a chorus of cheers from the crowd. It was a moment of triumph, not just for him, but for everyone associated with Red Bull racing. The team had come a long way since its inception, and to witness this achievement was a testament to their hard work and resilience. Verstappen's victory at Suzuka solidified his status as one of the sport's greats, and the car he drove became a symbol of innovation and excellence. In the aftermath of Suzuka, the narrative of the season continued to unfold. Red Bull Racing was not just winning races, they were setting new standards in the sport. The car, known for its striking design and formidable performance, was a product of years of development and refinement. The engineers at Red Bull had poured countless hours into perfecting every detail, and it showed in the results. The seamless integration of technology and driver skill was a sight to behold. As the season progressed toward its conclusion, Verstappen's victories continued to stack up. Each race became a chapter in a story that felt almost cinematic in its execution. The wins in Singapore and the United States were particularly noteworthy, showcasing not just the speed of the car, but also the strategic acumen of the team. Verstappen seemed to have an innate ability to adapt to the challenges of each circuit, making him a formidable opponent on any given weekend. The rivalry with Ferrari was particularly compelling. The passion and history between the two teams added an extra layer of intrigue to the championship battle. Both teams were pushing the boundaries of performance, and the competition was fierce. Yet, as the season wore on, it became clear that Red Bull had found a groove that was difficult to disrupt. Leclerc and Ferrari, despite their best efforts, struggled to maintain the consistency needed to mount a serious challenge. As the final races approached, the atmosphere shifted from competition to celebration. Verstappen's impressive run had not only secured him the title, but had also propelled Red Bull Racing into the history books. The sense of achievement was palpable, and the team began to reflect on their journey. From their early days to their current dominance, Red Bull had transformed the landscape of Formula One racing. In those closing races, Verstappen continued to dazzle. Each victory felt like a culmination of hard work, talent, and a bit of luck. The bond between Verstappen and his team grew even stronger, a testament to the collaborative spirit that defined Red Bull racing. It was a beautiful reminder that behind every champion is a team of dedicated individuals who share a common goal. As the sun set on the 2022 Formula One season, the legacy of Max Verstappen and Red Bull Racing was firmly established. The dominance they displayed was not just about winning, it was about redefining what was possible in the sport. Verstappen had emerged as a true champion, and the Red Bull car had become an icon of speed and innovation. The world watched in awe, knowing they had witnessed something special, a moment in time that would be talked about for years to come. The stage was set for the future, and it was bright for Red Bull Racing and its remarkable driver. As the 2023 season unfolded, Red Bull Racing truly showcased their dominance in the world of Formula One racing. From the very first race, it was clear that they had built a car that was not only quick, but also incredibly reliable. The RB19, as it was known, became a symbol of their engineering prowess and a testament to the work put in by everyone at the team. The season began in Bahrain, where Sergio Perez, one of their talented drivers, set the tone for what was to come. Perez had been with Red Bull Racing for a couple of seasons, and after a solid year in 2022, he was ready to take on the challenges of the new season. He qualified well, and when the race began, he drove with a mixture of aggression and control, ultimately clinching victory. This win was not just a personal achievement for Perez. It was a significant statement for Red Bull, signaling that their team was ready to fight for the championship. Meanwhile, his teammate Max Verstappen was also poised to make an impact. Verstappen had already established himself as one of the most talented drivers on the grid, and he carried the weight of expectation on his shoulders. Starting the season, he had every intention of continuing the success he had enjoyed in the previous year. In Bahrain, however, he faced some challenges early on, but he displayed his remarkable skill by recovering to finish in a strong position. As the season progressed, it became evident that Red Bull had an edge over their rivals, and this was largely due to the incredible performance of the RB19. The car was not only fast in a straight line, but it also handled corners with a grace that allowed both drivers to push it to its limits. As the races rolled on, Verstappen began to find his rhythm, and soon he was on an extraordinary winning streak. It started in Saudi Arabia, where he once again showcased his talent, overtaking competitors with ease. The RB19 seemed to glide over the track, responding to Verstappen's every input, as if it were an extension of his own body. The confidence he exuded was palpable, and it was clear that he was in a league of his own. With each passing race, Verstappen's wins began to pile up, and the media buzzed with excitement. Fans of the sport were enthralled, watching as he broke records and cemented his status as one of the greats in Formula One history. The team's technical staff worked tirelessly to ensure that the RB19 remained at the forefront of performance. They meticulously analyzed data from each race, fine-tuning the car to suit the unique characteristics of every circuit. The collaboration between the drivers and engineers was seamless, as both Perez and Verstappen provided invaluable feedback that helped shape the car's development. It was a true team effort, and this synergy contributed to Red Bull's success on the track. As the season continued, Red Bull Racing faced challenges from rival teams, particularly Ferrari and Mercedes. Both teams had made significant strides in their performance, and they were eager to close the gap. Ferrari, with their powerful engine and skilled drivers, posed a consistent threat. However, even with their improvements, they found it difficult to match the pace of the RB19. Mercedes, on the other hand, was still grappling with the issues that had plagued them in the previous season. While they remained competitive, they were not quite able to challenge Red Bull in the same way they had in the past. Throughout the season, the tension between the drivers and their rivals added an exciting layer to the races. The battle for podium positions was fierce, and while Red Bull often found themselves at the front, the racing was still incredibly close. Perez, in particular, demonstrated his ability to fend off challenges from other teams, showcasing his skill and determination. His early success in Bahrain set a positive tone for the rest of the season, and he continued to deliver strong performances, earning him a reputation as a formidable competitor. As Verstappen's win streak grew longer, the excitement reached a fever pitch. Each race became a spectacle, with fans eagerly anticipating whether he would secure yet another victory. The media was abuzz with discussions about his potential to break records, and the atmosphere at the races was electric. Verstappen's confidence was infectious, and it was evident that he thrived under the pressure. He approached each race with a calm yet fierce determination, and his focus was unwavering. The RB19, with its sleek design and powerful performance, became a character in its own right during this season. It was not just a car, it was a culmination of years of hard work and innovation. The engineers behind it had poured their hearts and souls into its creation, and it showed. The car was a masterpiece, with a balance that allowed it to excel in various conditions, whether on a hot, sunny day or during a rain-soaked race. Red Bull Racing had truly set a new benchmark for performance in Formula One, and their rivals were left scrambling to catch up. As the races continued, Red Bull's dominance became a topic of conversation among fans and pundits alike. Some reveled in the excitement of watching Verstappen and Perez take the fight to the front, while others lamented the lack of competition. Yet, what remained undeniable was the sheer brilliance of the team and their ability to consistently deliver on race day. With each win, they etched their names deeper into the annals of Formula One history. The 2023 season was not just about the victories, though. It was also about the camaraderie and sportsmanship displayed by both Red Bull drivers. As teammates, they pushed each other to perform at their best while maintaining a respectful relationship. They knew that the success of the team depended on their ability to work together, and this mutual understanding was evident in their interactions both on and off the track. The bond they formed contributed to a positive atmosphere within the team, fostering an environment where creativity and innovation could thrive. As the season approached its midpoint, the narrative surrounding Red Bull Racing was one of triumph and resilience. The combination of Perez's early success and Verstappen's unprecedented winning streak created a powerful momentum that seemed unstoppable. Fans were treated to a masterclass in racing, watching as the team navigated challenges and celebrated achievements together. The excitement of the season was palpable, and with each race, the anticipation grew for what was to come. In summary, the 2023 season of Formula One was a remarkable chapter in the history of Red Bull Racing. With the RB19 leading the way, Perez and Verstappen showcased their incredible talents, making it a season to remember. The synergy between driver and machine, combined with the relentless pursuit of excellence by the entire team, set the stage for a thrilling year in motorsport. As the races continued, the world watched in awe, eagerly anticipating each twist and turn in the story of Red Bull Racing. As the calendar turned to 2024, Red Bull Racing found themselves in a fascinating position. After several years of dominance in Formula One, the team now faced an invigorated challenge from rivals like McLaren and Ferrari. These teams were not just making up the numbers, they were ready to contest every race and every point. For Red Bull, this was not just about maintaining their status, but also about reaffirming their strength in the face of these formidable competitors. Max Verstappen, the team's star driver, was at the center of this new narrative. He had already established himself as a world champion, but in 2024, he was keen to show that he could rise to the occasion, especially against the likes of Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc. The early races of the season showcased a thrilling mix of strategy, skill, and sheer willpower. In the first race of the season, held in Bahrain, The atmosphere was electric. Fans were eager to see how the new regulations and car developments would play out. Red Bull, having spent the off-season refining their aerodynamics and power unit, rolled out a car that looked competitive from the get-go. As the lights went out, Verstappen immediately showcased his trademark aggression. He had a good start, quickly moving ahead of his competitors. The race unfolded with a tense battle between Verstappen and Leclerc, who was driving for Ferrari. As the laps rolled on, it became clear that this season would not be a walk in the park for Red Bull. Verstappen's experience shone through as he managed tire wear and executed pit stops flawlessly. The team's strategy, led by their seasoned pit wall, allowed Verstappen to maintain his lead, crossing the finish line first. The victory was significant, not just for the points but also for the psychological edge it provided. Winning the first race of the season set a positive tone and reminded everyone that Red Bull was still a force to be reckoned with. However, the following race in Saudi Arabia brought an unexpected twist. McLaren had made significant strides in their performance, and Norris was more than ready to capitalize on any opportunity. The street circuit in Jeddah, with its fast-paced layout, posed a different challenge. Verstappen struggled to find the same rhythm he had in Bahrain. As the race unfolded, it became evident that McLaren had found something special in their setup. In a dramatic turn of events, Verstappen had to settle for second place, with Norris taking the win. This was a wake-up call for Red Bull. The team went back to the drawing board, analyzing data and working closely with their engineers to understand where they could improve. They recognized that the competition was no longer just Ferrari. McLaren was firmly in the mix. The battle was heating up, and the team needed to respond. The next race in Australia was crucial. Verstappen, ever the fierce competitor, approached this race with a renewed focus. The Melbourne circuit, known for its unique layout and unpredictable weather, would test not just the car's performance, but also the team's strategic acumen. As the race began, Verstappen quickly found himself in a tussle with Leclerc and Norris. The three drivers exchanged positions repeatedly, showcasing their skills and determination. It was a thrilling race, with overtakes happening at every corner. Verstappen displayed his ability to adapt, making calculated moves that saw him reclaim the lead. The pit strategy from Red Bull was spot on, allowing Verstappen to execute a flawless race. He crossed the line first, taking back the momentum and reminding everyone of his championship-winning pedigree. As the season progressed, Red Bull continued to find themselves in fierce battles. The European leg of the season saw them racing in circuits that had their own quirks and challenges. In Spain, Verstappen faced another tough opponent in Carlos Sainz, who was also driving for Ferrari. The two drivers had a fierce duel throughout the race, showcasing their remarkable skill and determination. Red Bull's strategy and Verstappen's driving ultimately clinched yet another victory, but it was clear that the competition was relentless. The Monaco Grand Prix was another highlight of the season. The iconic street circuit, known for its tight corners and limited overtaking opportunities, required precision and patience. Red Bull knew that qualifying would be critical. Verstappen secured pole position, a testament to his skill around the narrow streets. During the race, he managed to fend off challenges from both Leclerc and Norris, maintaining his lead through a mix of defensive driving and strategic pit stops. As the summer approached, the tension continued to build. The rivalries were palpable, and every race felt like a high-stakes showdown. The team's resilience was tested time and again. In Austria, a home race for Red Bull, Verstappen delivered a masterclass in driving, showcasing his ability to handle pressure. The fans rallied behind him, creating an atmosphere that was electric. However, the battle was not without its challenges. There were moments of frustration, particularly when mechanical issues briefly threatened their performance. Yet the strength of the team shone through. They rallied together, drawing on their experience and expertise to overcome obstacles. The bond between Verstappen and his team was evident. They worked seamlessly, with communication flowing smoothly. As the summer break approached, Red Bull found themselves in a strong position, but the fight was far from over. McLaren and Ferrari were not backing down. The second half of the season would prove to be just as exhilarating. With the championship on the line, Verstappen knew he had to maintain focus. The pressure was immense, but he thrived on it. In the latter races, Verstappen demonstrated his mastery of the sport. In Belgium, he managed to navigate the challenging Spa-Francorchamps circuit with precision, once again outpacing his rivals. The team's performance was a combination of speed, strategy, and teamwork. The victories were hard-fought and served as a reminder of the dedication that went into each race weekend. The penultimate race in Qatar was a turning point. With the championship battle reaching its climax, every point mattered. Verstappen faced fierce competition, but his experience and the team's unwavering support propelled him to another victory. As he crossed the finish line, the weight of the season seemed to lift, yet he remained grounded, knowing there was still work to be done. As the season drew to a close, the final race in Abu Dhabi was a culmination of everything Red Bull had fought for. The atmosphere was charged, with fans eager to witness the outcome of this thrilling season. Verstappen, having secured the championship lead, approached the race with a calm yet determined mindset. The team executed their strategy flawlessly, and Verstappen drove with both elegance and aggression. He managed to fend off challenges from both McLaren and Ferrari, showcasing his skill and the strength of his team. As he crossed the finish line, securing another victory, the emotions were palpable. The hard-fought battles of the season had culminated in success, not just for Verstappen but for the entire Red Bull racing team. Reflecting on the season, it was clear that the challenges from McLaren and Ferrari had only made them stronger. They had adapted, learned, and evolved. The spirit of competition had driven them to new heights, reminding everyone of the beauty of Formula One. The year 2024 would be remembered as a thrilling chapter in Red Bull Racing's history, marked by resilience, teamwork, and the relentless pursuit of excellence. As the sun began to rise on the dawn of 2025, Red Bull Racing embarked on a thrilling new chapter in its storied history. The excitement was palpable, with whispers of change echoing through the paddock. After years of relying on power units supplied by a partner, the team had decided to take the bold step of developing its very own engine. This was not just a new venture, it was a significant leap into the unknown, filled with both promise and uncertainty. The early signs of the season hinted at the monumental challenge that lay ahead. The first few races served as a testing ground, allowing the engineers and drivers to gauge the performance of their new powertrain. The team had spent countless hours in the wind tunnel, fine-tuning the aerodynamics, and equally, the engine department had been hard at work, poring over data, simulations, and prototypes. The aim was clear: to create a power unit that could match, if not surpass, the performance of their former suppliers. As the season kicked off in Bahrain, the atmosphere was electric. The team's drivers, seasoned veterans, who had tasted victory before, were eager to showcase the fruits of their labor. The new engine was not only about raw power, it was about efficiency and reliability too. In the early laps, the Red Bull cars surged forward, showcasing their speed while the engineers held their breath, praying for no hiccups. As the race unfolded, it became apparent that the new power unit had potential. The cars showed great pace, and there was a sense of optimism that resonated throughout the team. However, as thrilling as the first race was, the reality of developing an engine from scratch was soon to be felt. The next few races revealed some teething issues. The team faced challenges with power delivery and fuel efficiency, which meant that while they had the speed on the straights, they struggled in the corners where precision and balance were critical. Rival teams, particularly those with established power units, began to capitalize on these early weaknesses. The likes of Mercedes and Ferrari were quick to remind Red Bull of the steep learning curve they faced. The engineers at Red Bull Racing worked tirelessly, analyzing telemetry data late into the night, adjusting the engine mapping, and experimenting with different setups. They knew that success would not come overnight, but their commitment to improvement was unwavering. The camaraderie among the team members shone through during this period, as everyone rallied together to find solutions. It was a true testament to the spirit of motorsport, where each setback was met with determination. As the season progressed into the European leg, the team began to see some encouraging signs. The upgrades they introduced after each race showed incremental improvements. The powertrain development was a continuous cycle of testing and refinement, and with each race, the drivers could feel the engine responding better to their commands. The car became more predictable, allowing them to push harder and extract more performance. This newfound confidence translated into better qualifying positions and eventually some podium finishes. The competition, however, was fierce. The rivalry with Mercedes was particularly intense, as both teams pushed each other to the limits of engineering excellence. Mercedes had been at the forefront of Formula One for years, and they were not about to let a newcomer disrupt their dominance. Every race was a battle, and while Red Bull showed flashes of brilliance, they were still in the shadow of the established teams. By the time the season reached its midpoint, Red Bull Racing had made significant strides. The early troubles with the engine were becoming less frequent, and the team's hard work was starting to pay off. They were no longer just participating, they were contenders once again. The drivers' feedback was crucial in this process, as they communicated their experiences directly to the engineers, helping them make the necessary adjustments. One of the standout moments of the season came during the race in Austria, a home race for Red Bull. The atmosphere was electric, with fans draped in the team's colors, their cheers echoing around the circuit. The team had introduced a significant upgrade to the engine, and the anticipation was palpable. As the race unfolded, it became clear that the power unit had taken a step forward. The drivers fought fiercely, showcasing their skills and the improved performance of the car. When the checkered flag waved, Red Bull Racing stood on the podium, a symbol of their resilience and determination. As the season rolled into the second half, the team faced new challenges. While they had made progress, there was still a long way to go in terms of reliability and performance consistency. The engine, while powerful, still had its quirks, and the engineers continued to work on fine-tuning it. The competition was relentless, with Ferrari and Mercedes constantly pushing the envelope. The drivers found themselves in a fierce battle for points, and every race was a strategic chess match. The technical partnerships that Red Bull Racing had fostered over the years began to play a critical role as well. They reached out to various suppliers and specialists, collaborating on different aspects of the engine development. This approach allowed them to tap into a wealth of knowledge and experience, which was invaluable as they navigated this new terrain. The team's ability to adapt and innovate became one of their greatest assets. As the season drew to a close, the mood within the team was one of cautious optimism. They had faced numerous challenges, but they had also achieved remarkable successes. The new power unit was beginning to show its true potential, and the drivers felt more at home behind the wheel. The late races of the season showcased their growth, with improved finishes and a sense of confidence that hadn't been there at the start. The excitement for the future was tangible. The foundation had been laid, and while there was still much work to be done, the team could see the light at the end of the tunnel. The journey of developing an in-house engine was just beginning, but Red Bull Racing had proven that they were more than capable of rising to the occasion. With each passing race, the team learned more about their engine, about each other, and about what it meant to compete at the highest level of motorsport. The challenges they faced only strengthened their resolve, and as they prepared for the next season, there was a sense of unity and purpose. Red Bull Racing had taken a bold step into a new era, and while the road ahead might be bumpy, they were ready to embrace the journey with open arms. As the sun set on the 2025 season, Red Bull Racing stood poised on the brink of something extraordinary. The promise of their in-house engine program was just beginning to unfold, and the team looked forward to what lay ahead with hope and determination. The world of Formula One was ever-changing, but one thing was certain: Red Bull Racing was ready to meet the challenge head-on, fueled by the passion for speed and the relentless pursuit of excellence. In the early days, when Red Bull Racing entered the world of Formula One in 2005, it was a breath of fresh air in a sport that had long been dominated by traditional teams. The energy drink company, known for its vibrant branding and youthful spirit, saw an opportunity to make a mark in a realm where speed, precision, and engineering excellence reigned supreme. The team was born from the ashes of Jaguar Racing, and with that came a fresh start and a passionate desire to succeed. The initial years were filled with ambition and determination, but also the harsh realities of a challenging sport. The team faced the daunting task of establishing itself in a fiercely competitive environment, where history and legacy often overshadowed newcomers. As they moved through the 2006 season, Red Bull Racing began to find its footing. The drivers, including the talented young talent from the United Kingdom, David Coulthard, and the exciting newcomer Christian Klein, brought a mix of experience and youthful exuberance to the team. The car, the RB2, while not a championship contender, showed flashes of potential. It was a time of learning, of understanding the complexities of the sport, and slowly, the team began to carve out its identity. The thrill of being in the paddock, the roar of the engines, and the excitement of the races created a unique atmosphere that drew fans in, and the team's vibrant persona resonated with a younger audience. In 2007, the arrival of the talented Australian driver Mark Webber marked a significant turning point for the team. Webber, known for his relentless determination and fierce competitiveness, brought a new level of professionalism and ambition. The RB3 showed improvements, and while the results weren't yet what they aspired to, the foundations were being laid. The team was starting to feel a sense of belonging in the paddock, and with every race they were gaining valuable experience. The camaraderie within the team grew, and the spirit of Red Bull Racing became more defined. The atmosphere was electric, filled with hope and the promise of what was to come. The 2008 season was a pivotal moment for Red Bull Racing. The partnership with renowned designer Adrian Newey proved to be a masterstroke. Newey's expertise and innovative designs transformed the team's fortunes. The RB4 was a significant step forward, and as Webber and his teammate, the rising star Sebastian Vettel, took to the track, the world began to take notice. There were moments of brilliance, and the team started to challenge for points consistently. The excitement was palpable, and as they finished the season with a growing sense of optimism, it became clear that Red Bull Racing was no longer just a newcomer. They were a serious contender. As 2009 rolled around, the team began to realize its potential fully. With Vettel's talent shining through, the team secured its first victory at the Chinese Grand Prix, a moment that sent shockwaves through the paddock. The jubilant celebrations were a testament to the hard work and dedication of everyone involved. They were no longer just participants, they were players in the game. The energy, the excitement, and the feeling of having arrived at a new level fueled the team's ambition. The world of Formula One was witnessing the rise of Red Bull Racing, and the journey was just beginning. In the following years, from 2010 to 2013, Red Bull Racing surged to unprecedented heights. The team, now armed with the immense talent of Sebastian Vettel, who had become a household name, embarked on a journey that would see them dominate the sport. The RB6, RB7, RB8, and RB9 were not just cars, they were masterpieces of engineering, each iteration better than the last. Vettel's skill behind the wheel, combined with Newey's visionary designs, created a perfect storm. The team won 4 consecutive Constructors' Championships and 4 Drivers' Championships, with Vettel becoming the youngest double, triple, and then quadruple world champion in history. The atmosphere within the team was electric, filled with a sense of invincibility. The victories brought with them a wave of emotions, from the joy of triumph to the pressure of expectation. Rivalries began to form, particularly with teams like Ferrari and McLaren, who had long been the titans of the sport. Each race became a battle, with the stakes higher than ever. The team's success not only elevated Red Bull Racing, but also transformed the landscape of Formula One, inspiring a new generation of fans and drivers. The passion and dedication of the team were evident in every victory, every podium finish, and every moment of celebration. In 2014, the sport underwent significant changes with the introduction of new power unit regulations, transitioning from naturally aspirated engines to turbocharged hybrid units. This marked a challenging period for Red Bull Racing. Despite their previous successes, they struggled to adapt to the new technology, and the team faced fierce competition from Mercedes, who emerged as the dominant force. The emotional roller coaster of the season was palpable, as fans and team members alike grappled with the reality of being dethroned from their perch at the top. The struggles were a stark contrast to the glory days, and the team had to dig deep to find their way back. The 2015 season continued to present challenges. While the team managed to secure a few podiums, it became increasingly clear that the gap to Mercedes was widening. The emotional toll of the struggle was evident, but the spirit of Red Bull Racing remained unbroken. The determination to rise again was palpable, and the team began to regroup, focusing on the future. The arrival of promising young drivers, including Daniel Ricciardo and Daniel K.V. Wyatt, brought new hope and energy. The atmosphere was one of resilience and camaraderie, as everyone pulled together to navigate the difficult landscape. In 2016, a new chapter unfolded, as the team found its footing once more. Ricciardo's talent shone through, and the RB12 began to show promise. The team secured some memorable victories, including Ricciardo's stunning win at the Malaysian Grand Prix, a moment of pure joy that reminded everyone of the exhilarating highs of racing. The emotional journey was one of resilience, as the team learned to adapt, evolve, and embrace the challenges that came their way. The spirit of competition was alive and well, and Red Bull Racing was back on the rise. As 2017 approached, the team was ready to take on the world once again. The RB13 was a significant improvement, and with Ricciardo and Verstappen at the helm, the team was poised to challenge for the title once more. The battles on the track were fierce, with the likes of Mercedes and Ferrari pushing the limits of performance. The emotional highs and lows of racing were felt deeply within the team, as they fought tooth and nail to reclaim their place at the top. The camaraderie among the drivers and the entire team was evident, a reminder that in the world of Formula One, success is built on teamwork and shared passion. By the time 2018 rolled around, Red Bull Racing had firmly established itself as a powerhouse in the sport. The arrival of the new partnership with Honda brought renewed hope. The RB14 showcased the team's innovative spirit, and Verstappen's remarkable talent captivated fans around the world. The emotional arc of the season was one of resurgence, as the team embraced the challenge of competing against the best. The victories and podium finishes reignited the passion within the team, and the atmosphere in the paddock was electric once more. In 2019, the team continued to build on its momentum. The RB15 was a testament to Red Bull Racing's commitment to innovation and performance. The partnership with Honda blossomed, and with Verstappen leading the charge, the team was back in contention for race wins. The emotional journey was one of triumph over adversity, as they navigated the complexities of the sport with determination and resilience. The atmosphere was filled with excitement and hope, as fans rallied behind the team, eager to witness the next chapter of their story. As the 2020 season unfolded, the world faced unprecedented challenges due to the global pandemic. Formula One adapted, and so did Red Bull Racing. The team showcased its resilience, and the bond among team members grew stronger as they navigated the unique circumstances. The emotional journey was one of perseverance, as they faced the challenges head-on, determined to emerge stronger. The arrival of the new season brought with it a renewed sense of hope, as the team prepared to take on the world once again. The 2021 season was a spectacular showdown between Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, and the world watched with bated breath as the two battled for supremacy. The emotional stakes were higher than ever, with each race becoming a dramatic saga filled with tension and excitement. The rivalry ignited a passion among fans, and the atmosphere in the paddock was electric. Red Bull Racing had transformed from ambitious newcomers to one of the most iconic dynasties in Formula One, and the journey had come full circle. The team had not only built a legacy, but had also inspired a new generation of fans and drivers, reminding everyone of the beauty and thrill of the sport,